CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hello, it's 6 o'clock on Thursday, July the 9th. Another mix of sun and cloud expected today. Still a little breezy off the Juan de Fuca Strait. It's just the same forecast again. Right now, at the Victoria International Airport, it's 15 degrees. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, and good morning. Street racing getting out of hand in Nanaimo. So Nanaimo RCMP looking to crack down, ramping up efforts and enforcement aimed at racing of vehicles and motorcycles throughout the city. Police have responded to numerous reports from recent weeks about late-night racing, excessive vehicle noise, vehicle stunting, and using public roadways as unofficial drag strips. Police say it's dangerous behavior and has the potential to cause a serious collision. There was a serious collision in the Duncan area over the weekend. One man has died in a motorcycle crash. It was a single vehicle accident happening Saturday night on the Trans-Canada near Mount Sicker Road. The southbound bike was traveling when apparently it lost control, overturning in the ditch. The rider unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene. The BCGEU is mourning the loss of former President Stephanie Smith, who passed away Monday night. A statement from the union says Smith made history as the first woman elected president at the union in more than its 100-year history. She took office in 2014, served as president until 2024. Born in Montreal, Smith was a mother of two and was living in Richmond at the time of her passing. RCMP near the Alberta-BC border have issued an Amber Alert for a 6-year-old boy. Police say Lanakai Morrison was taken Tuesday from the hamlet of Valhalla Center, roughly 63 kilometers northwest of Grand Prairie. Police say the child may be with his mother and her 35-year-old partner. RCMP say another child, a 4-year-old boy, may also be traveling with them. Investigators are looking for a black 2015 Toyota Tundra. Chances are they aren't on the island, but it's always a good idea to keep a lookout. Anyone who has seen if you see someone who looks like this and matches the description, especially the vehicle, call 911. The average cost of one-bedroom apartment in Victoria was apparently down last month, according to rentals.ca. On the other hand, the price tag went up for 2 bedrooms. The one-bedroom was down 0.5 percentage point to $1 short of $2,000. A month, it's down 1.8% from June of last year. A 2-bedroom average price went up 1.7% to $2,642. But it's still down 2.4% year-over-year basis. So if you're not feeling it yet, well, maybe it can drop further. The price of rentals went down province-wide about 5% in June, so we're still behind that. On a typical day, Google processes about 16 billion queries online, but we're finding out the number was much higher earlier this week, thanks to the beautiful game.
On Tuesday night, the world's most popular search engine crushed its own all-time record for searches per second. And it's no coincidence that it comes during World Cup play in North America. Google won't disclose precise numbers, but says the most searched term was Argentina versus Egypt.
We got games coming today. Ryan will have all the details for you in just a minute. Federal officials will be providing an update today on the national wildfire season.
Emergency Management Minister Eleanor Olszewski and other officials are expected to give a briefing later today. The latest information from the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center shows there have been 3,100 fires so far this season. That's compared to around 2,900 at this time last year. The update comes as a pair of fires near the community of Boston Bar in BC have forced hundreds of properties under evacuation orders and alerts. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
Ottawa is putting international law as one of its top priorities at the UN as others accuse Canada of pulling its punches. Canada's UN ambassador, David Lametti, says international rules are under strain by major and regional powers and that Ottawa is alarmed by countries killing civilians, aid workers, and UN staff.
And I don't think anyone's attacking humanitarian law directly, but there are military actions which have an impact on caregivers, on humanitarian aid workers, on the UN and UN peacekeepers, for example.
Lametti says he and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand are both former law professors who want to advance defending and shaping global rules. And we've lost singer Bonnie Tyler.
It's a hard Singer Bonnie Tyler, the Grammy nominee known for songs like It's a Heartache, has died at age 75. Tyler's family says she died unexpectedly in a hospital in Portugal where she had a home and was being treated for an illness. In May, Tyler had emergency intestinal surgery and was placed in an induced coma, but had been improving. Tyler earned 3 Grammy nominations, and her song Total Eclipse of the Heart has had more than 1 billion streams. Bonnie Tyler dead at age 75. I'm Donna Warder.
And that is your CFAX News to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question we're asking, do you think other jurisdictions should follow Nanaimo's lead in enforcement efforts aimed at street racing and stunt driving? You can vote at cfax1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 6:06.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning. Welcome to the day. A little cooler if you're by the water. We noticed that coming in this morning. Just overnight, a little bit of chill to the air, depending on where you are, because we got we got 13 degrees kind of here in Esquimalt. But if you go up to the Victoria International Airport, it's 14 degrees, a little warmer there, and that's kind of the day. Just sort of. It's going to be
blustery?
Little blustery off the water, just like it's been the last couple of days. Okay. Sunnier and warmer inland. We'll get you the full details coming up. That's just kind of, where you're headed if you're getting up into the day. We're also continuing on with the World Cup of Soccer, and here's your World Cup report.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. After our first day with no games since the tournament began, the World Cup resumes today with the first of 4 quarterfinals. France will play Morocco in a rematch of their 2022 World Cup semi, which France won 2-0. France has rolled so far in this tournament, 5 wins in 5 games while outscoring its opponents 14-2. Morocco, meanwhile, is unbeaten in its last 34 matches, and TSN soccer analyst Claire Rustad likes this matchup for the underdog.
I'm really looking forward to the matchup, and if there is a team in the round of 16, a matchup in the round of 16 where I think that France could actually get beaten, Morocco's the team to do it.
France trying to become the 3rd team in history to go to 3 straight World Cup semifinals. The game kicks off at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go. And a quick look at some local sports. Victoria Harbour Cats in action last night against the Bend Elks, and Victoria with the 5-0 shutout. The Cats will go for the sweep over the Elks in the final game of the series, which is coming up tonight at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. Start time is 6:35. And since we're talking baseball, Toronto Blue Jays have the day off after taking 2 of 3 games against the Giants in San Francisco, and one of the wins was last night as Toronto wrapped the series with a 10-0 thumping of the Giants. They were aided by an 11-strikeout, 1-hit effort from star pitcher Dylan Cease. And Miami blanked the Seattle Mariners 2-0. That's your sports to 6:09. Time for CFAX 1070 traffic and weather on the roads. Fairly typical start to the day. No crashes or accidents. We have had an overnight closure of the Bay Street Bridge as more work has been going on there. You know, I know this. It's been in the traffic. Lisa even had it at the news yesterday. And you know what I did? I went and tried to cross the Bay Street Bridge last night. And then I hit the closure and just did one of those face palms. Like,
you can always swim.
I knew this. Why did I do this? I talk about it on the radio, and I still went to drive across the Bay Street Bridge. And
hope springs eternal, right?
I had to turn around and find another way.
Oh.
So don't be like me. Know that the still currently at least
kind of funny.
Yeah. As far as I know, it's still closed. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010, but it's scheduled to be closed until 7 this morning, so for the rest of the hour. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good. If you see any problems that are not the Bay Street Bridge, you can text me at 71010. And for the weather forecast, let's dive into this. Mainly cloudy today, still breezy off the Juan de Fuca Strait, highs of 20, but cooler by the water. And that's kind of a similar forecast to what we've had this week, and we'll continue to have for the next few days. Tonight, mainly cloudy, lows to 13. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy, still breezy, highs of 20, cooler by the water. Same story for Saturday, same story for Sunday, so just very stable weather at the moment. And right now, the temperatures are a bit varied. By the water, it is cooler. It's about 13 to 12 degrees. If you go inland a little bit, like at the airport, it's 14 degrees. Yes, and I know that the airport's sort of surrounded by water. It's not exactly inland, but, away from the Juan de Fuca Strait and all the wind.
Yeah.
I guess that's where my brain's going with that. Hey, business news. Let's talk about this because we are awaiting the opening bells. That's later this hour. So how did yesterday close? Take it away, Aaron Souza.
Canada's main stock index fell yesterday. Toronto's S&P TSX falling 336 points to 34,935. Renewed tensions between Washington and Tehran meant mixed results on Wall Street. The Dow lost 576, but the Nasdaq gained 51. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei rose by 924. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong gave back 169. Our dollar is trading at 70 and 51 cents U.S. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Saudi Arabia to meet Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It's the first visit by a Canadian PM in 26 years. Carney's expected to discuss strengthening ties in such things as energy. The tech giant behind Facebook and Instagram is planning an AI data center in Alberta. The 1 gigawatt project north of Edmonton would be similar in size to 33 CFL fields. And as mentioned, the potential collapse of the U.S.-Iran truce is once again driving up oil prices. It's already raising concerns that it could mean more pain at the pumps. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us here as we kick off this Thursday. I'm Ryan. We got Lisa here. And Lisa, listening to the business news today,
yes,
they're talking about gas prices. And
she just said they may go up.
Yeah, well, here in Victoria, you were saying, now I actually didn't see this myself, but you said you've spotted quite a few escalating prices.
Oh, yeah. You just have to look at Gas Buddy and drive around town. I was hoping, we all have this hoping to get to the gas pump, and I forgot. I was going to do it yesterday and forgot. Yeah. There was a couple still hovering around 178.
Okay.
Which, gave me hope. And of course, I forgot. So I got some this morning at 189, so 190. Let's call it what it is,
not
right?
So bad.
So there's the warning shot across the bow, and I'm looking at this right now on my phone. There's a couple of stations at 230.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
The Petro-Can on Island Highway.
Okay, so local, like there are a couple of local Victoria area stations.
I'm not talking about, yes. I'm not. Yeah, let's see, Souk. There's one in Souk as well. That's 220. Yeah, the Shell on Souk is 230 basically. So there's two that have gone to 230. Most of them are 190. So the Strait of Hormuz has this hiccup with the U.S. president, and the war's on. It's nothing to be glib about, but I don't understand, because I'm not a gas expert, how it can jump so fast.
Why does it go so fast?
Because the price they paid for the gas that's already in hold is not at that price.
Yeah.
So, this started yesterday where the ceasefire was called off, and whether it's you have to make the link, the supply and demand, and gas has just jumped again. So, because we have two stations at 230, I suggest that you might want to fill up at 190. And I was filling up when there was a guy with a big truck beside me filling up diesel. I didn't even want to ask.
Yeah,
because
what the big truck was filling up at,
and how much you take, how much you have to take in that tank, right? So right now here, diesel is spinning. What do we got? Anywhere from, actually, it's 204 to 224 currently for diesel. So strangely enough, that's sort of leveled out. Still 230.
So there's a couple stations with that already. Maybe the others are heading that way. Who knows? But like you said, maybe just a good idea if you happen to pass the stations with the lower prices to grab it while you can.
Gas stations are having a pearl clutching moment, and we're going to have to pay.
At 6:15, what else is happening? Here's Lisa with the headlines.
Well, staying with that theme, the U.S. launching new airstrikes against Iran earlier today, hours after the U.S. president said recent Iranian attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz signaled the end of the ceasefire and threatened to escalate the conflict if they didn't stop. Iran responded by targeting U.S. allied Kuwait and Qatar and accused the U.S. of striking near its sole nuclear power plant. Back and forth attacks, including those on Wednesday, have repeatedly threatened the ceasefire, but today's appeared bigger all around. And the U.S. president's mixed messaging, approving back-to-back military strikes while insisting they don't mean to return to a full-scale war, is fueling uncertainty about what comes next, and that seems to be translating to the price we pay at the pumps as well. 3 BC men indicted in the U.S. for alleged involvement in a cross-border drug smuggling conspiracy are facing extortion proceedings. BC residents Jaskim Bagri, Jarat Singh Smag, and Ravinder Singh Danda have been named as defendants in a California grand jury indictment revealed this week. BC Supreme Court records show the 3 men's cases are now subject to publication bans under the Extradition Act. The U.S. Department of Justice alleges they were involved in a plan to start a new cartel, utilizing trucks and logistic assessments, including on farms, in order to smuggle drugs across the U.S.-Canada border. And a young bald eagle is back at its perch in Beacon Hill Park at a nest after City of Victoria crews actually brought in a bucket truck to return the bird to its avian family. The fledgling was found on the ground beneath the well-known nest earlier this week, prompting park staff to contact Wild Ark Rehab staff and bring them in for advice. A full examination of the eaglet found it in pretty good condition, good body condition, and it had no significant injuries as well. So that's good news from Beacon Hill Park. That's your news to 6:17.
So the Canadian submarine deal, which we continue to analyze here this week, what does it mean for our military? What does it mean for CFB Esquimalt and the local economy? We've been talking about these things. One angle that is a little further down the triage list of things, but still very interesting, is what does it mean for the automotive industry? And that might seem like a bit of a stretch, but apart from just having submarines, the 2 countries and companies that were bidding on the contract from Canada were promising all sorts of other stuff, right? Like, hey, if you pick our submarine, we'll build this in Canada or that in Canada.
Yeah, if you're looking to buy a car, it suddenly becomes very relevant.
So what are the driving reporters, the car reporters, covering when it comes to the submarine deal? I guess they are talking about it, and we've got a guy we love to talk to. In fact, he's Matthew Guy, automotive writer for publications like Driver. He's going to be joining us next to talk about what the automotive industry in Canada is saying about this submarine deal. That's next. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. If you need a cab, download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. So on the roads, we got the overnight closure of the Bay Street Bridge, or if you want to be formal, the Point Ellis Bridge. It closed until 7 this morning, at least is the schedule. Sometimes these things end early. And for the rest of the commute, it's looking pretty typical. Text me at 71010 if you see anything unusual. For the weather, it's mainly cloudy today with a high of 20, but cooler by the water. We still got that wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait. It's been a feature all this week, and it's going to be kind of staying that way. And the weather forecast for the next few days is not changing. It's just sort of the same again. And right now for Victoria, the temperature in, let's say, Langford first off, where it's 12 degrees. In Shawnigan Lake, it is 14 degrees.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
So Canada's choice of bidder to build our new submarines. What does it mean for the automotive industry? It is actually a question that's being looked at. Matthew Guy, automotive writer for publications like Driver, joining us on the line. A voice we've heard from time to time here on the station as we talk cars usually. Matthew Guy, how you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
I love our chats about cars, but it's sort of strange that I've got you on to talk about submarines.
That is an unexpected development, but it is relevant to the car industry this time for sure.
Yeah, and I guess that's because the part of the thing here is not just sort of picking what submarine is going to be able to meet our military requirements. There were all the other goodies that the companies behind these were pitching at Canada. TKMS, the German bidder, promising different industrial activity in Canada. The South Korean bid also doing the same. So let's take a look at that. How is this all shaken down when it comes to what sort of benefits Canada's getting, and does that fit the automotive industry, or which way did this one go when it comes to that stuff?
Right. So during a speech back in February, it was the industry minister who said, quote, fundamentally what we want is a car plant, and that's why we're talking with the Koreans and Germans, end quote. So that started the conversation in, our industry talking about, so if this submarine deal is made with one of these two countries, then those countries are pretty thick with car companies, big car companies that make vehicles, none of which currently make vehicles in Canada. So with that statement from the industry minister back in February, kind of set the wheels going for the conversation that, so if they choose someone from Germany or Korea, perhaps a car plant would be part of that deal. And that's not what we heard. We didn't hear any mention of that during the big announcement earlier this week from the Prime Minister.
Okay, but does that mean it's not happening, or does that just mean they haven't got there yet? Because our understanding is it's not a done deal, even though they've indicated a preferred bidder. There's still negotiations to happen.
Agreed. And, that being said, Ottawa is right now framing the deal as pending negotiation of a firm contract. So it's not like every portion of the final details are done and dusted. It sure would help the Canadian automotive sector for sure, right? As if part of this arrangement, one or more, of major German car brands chose to set up shop in this country. You'd think that if there was an inkling about this, maybe someone doesn't want to overpromise as well by making that announcement so early, but you're right. It is pending negotiation of a firm contract was the verbiage that was used earlier this week.
Now, hypothetically, say we do find something out and say it does continue to be the German bid that is the winner. What kind of thing would we see? Would it be like a Volkswagen plant opening up in Canada or something? Or what is the possibility?
One would hope, there are a lot of, skilled people in this country, in terms of car manufacturing, but it's kind of interesting to note as well. I don't think this had any bearing or was related to the submarine contract in particular, but the company called PowerCo, which is a subsidiary of Volkswagen, is currently building a massive EV project, a massive battery factory in St. Thomas, Ontario, to the point where, first steel is already officially up, showcasing how the building structure is there, and they are expecting to be on the go in 2027. So that is part of the Volkswagen empire, and, one does wonder if that it played any sort of role at all. I don't know that it did, but that factory is well underway of being built already in St. Thomas, Ontario.
And on the flip side, were there any promises from the South Korean bid that we currently are not going towards, but were they offering any automotive help? I know there was military vehicles that were being pitched to be built in Canada, if we had chosen that one. But what are we hearing there?
And that's, I heard that as well, where the military angle of it. But from things that I've heard as well, there were people from car companies may have been part of the general overture of the bid, but without any sort of actual commitment from those companies. But it's not like Hyundai hasn't built cars in our country before. They did have a facility in Bromont, Quebec, back in the late 80s and early 90s. So up until 1995, I think they built the Sonata there. So these companies are not foreign to Canada in terms of manufacturing, both with Volkswagen and their battery facility, or Volkswagen-related battery facility, and Hyundai building cars here in the past. So I do hold out, certainly some hope that something might occur and something might come of this.
And how big of a deal is this? And I guess I'll put this perspective on it. We're at a time where our automotive industry is being rocked by what's happening with the U.S. and Donald Trump trying to reshore all of the manufacturing. It's an assault on the auto industry in Canada for sure. How important is it for something like this to happen to kind of buoy things?
It is important, isn't it? I mean, any sort of Canadian jobs in manufacturing and things of that nature are super, super critical for these industries. And there's a lot of pride in Canada with, Canadian-built vehicles. There are companies that do build cars here, and some of the best-selling vehicles in Canada are built right here in Canada by Canadians. So it's definitely a point of pride for sure when you're driving a vehicle that whose VIN starts with a 2,
right,
which is how you can identify if your vehicle was built in Canada or not.
You've told me that before. I love that fact because it's such a simple thing. If you look at the VIN number, and usually you can find it kind of, like lower on the windshield sort of there. Is that usually where you find it?
Precisely, yeah. Just on the driver's side of the windshield or on your door frame on the driver's door.
Yeah, and if you see, is it a 1 for the United States?
Correct. 1, 4, 5, or 7, and then 2 for Canada, 3 for Mexico.
Okay, so if you want to know where your car was built, that's just a fun little, I don't know, I think that's amusing. I took a look at mine, and mine was built in the United States. I got that out of it because there was a 1, but that's cool. Okay, that aside, there you go. Just analyzing the big submarine news this week, which we continue to follow. Canada sort of announcing not that it's a done deal, but that their preferred bidder is the German bid. What does that mean for the automotive industry with all these promises, or at least, hints at promises being made leading up to this? So far, we don't know about anything. Nothing's really come out of it this week yet. Still to happen, maybe. We don't know. But Matthew Guy, he writes for publications like Driver. And thank you so much for talking submarines with me. There's a first for us.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
All right, we'll talk again soon, I hope. And we will get a break in right now because it's time for the 6:30 News with Lisa Best.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 6:31 on Thursday, July 9th. It's going to be a mix of sun and clouds today. We're certainly waking up to some clouds this morning. Right now, 14 degrees. Let's get to the news. Here's Lisa Best.
What Canadians are talking about and what Americans are stateside as well. Weeks after a little movement on gas prices, the latest development in the war of Iran again sending prices climbing higher. Gas prices are climbing higher locally too and may continue to. The message from the President of Canadians for Affordable Energy, Dan McTeague, is today may be your best day to fill up for the foreseeable future.
I think you're going to see gradual increases over the next several days, which will probably bring prices up an average of 10 to 15 cents a litre by the time we get to some other announcement at some point down the road.
Unless you have a Costco membership card, which changes the playing field for you. Gas prices are climbing across Greater Victoria this morning. A litre of regular ranges from $1.89 to $2.30. Diesel, anywhere from $2.04 to $2.23 a litre. ABC's Karen Hua has the latest information from U.S. officials on what a second night of airstrikes in Iran became.
Central Command saying forces hit 90 Iranian military targets. Video online appears to show some of the attacks. Iran retaliating, targeting facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait. This latest U.S. escalation follows Iranian attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
U.S. President Donald Trump warning on social media that things will get much worse if Iran continues attacking shipping through the region in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, there was praise for Donald Trump as the NATO summit wrapped up yesterday, despite several controversial moments of his interactions with other world leaders. CTV's Graham Richardson was there.
Carney says U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing NATO to change.
It's not just he's winning the argument, he's won the argument. Countries recognize that they need to take more responsibility, see the direct threats.
Trump blasted Spain, threatening to cut off all trade with the United States.
Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore.
A short time later, it was all about unity with NATO allies.
The unity in that room was incredible. The really love. It was sort of pretty wild.
Trump ended by saying the NATO summit has been very successful to date. Ottawa putting international law as one of its top priorities at the UN as others accuse Canada of pulling its punches. Canadian UN Ambassador David Lametti says he and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand are both former law professors who want to advance defending and shaping global rules.
I'm not unrealistic. I see what's happening in the world. But I do think that, for example, a number of middle powers can band together and put humanitarian law in the forefront.
Lametti's comments come after sustained criticism from human rights activists, legal scholars, and former federal ministers Lloyd Axworthy and Alan Rock, arguing that Ottawa isn't doing enough to stand up for international law. In Venezuela, nearly 2 weeks after twin earthquakes 40 seconds apart, the death toll has now risen to 3,800. ABC News chief international correspondent James Longman has the latest.
Thousands more are missing. The country has relied almost entirely on foreign emergency assistance, like the $310 million from the US, as well as rescue teams to help find survivors. But they, like most international teams, are now gone. And while aid is still coming in, many areas are still without power, water, or food.
And on a lighter note, Canadian pop star Justin Bieber set to perform at the first ever World Cup halftime show. His 11-minute performance will be part of the show featuring Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. FIFA says the show is expected to have a couple billion people tune in to watch. The World Cup final is scheduled for July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. This is we learned that Google says it crushed its record Tuesday for searches per second. The most searched term Tuesday, Argentina versus Egypt. Google normally processes about 16 million queries daily. They wouldn't say exactly what the number was that they broke, but you can bet it was big with FIFA underway. That's your news at 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you think other jurisdictions should follow Nanaimo's lead? The RCMP in that community are ramping up enforcement efforts aimed at street racing and stunt driving. 88% say yes, that would be a good idea. You can vote now at cfax1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 6:37.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. It's going to be another day, kind of like yesterday. Mix of sun and cloud, little wind off the water. Right now, it's quite cloudy, at least where I'm looking across the Juan de Fuca Strait towards the Olympic Mountains. Big dark clouds.
Sky kind of matches the water.
It does a little bit, yeah. But it's supposed to be a mix of sun and cloud as we get further into this day. We'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, over to the sports. Hey, we've got the World Cup of Soccer back. Yesterday was the first day without a game since this FIFA World Cup began. Were you like me, a little lost? You had to actually do your chores or your work? You did do those things?
Did you cut the grass?
I was going to, but I did a bunch of other stuff. I did take the yard clippings out to the works yard.
Oh, so you did. Okay.
Yeah, so I was doing yard work. I just didn't get the grass cut. But
did you think about soccer while you were doing that?
Oh, yeah.
It makes a difference.
I kept whining to my children. I'm like, there's no games. I can't just have an excuse to be on the couch.
Are they on board yet?
Oh, my oldest son, who's 15.
He wasn't the hard win, though.
He was, no. The 12-year-old showed up for Team Canada only. He's not into the other stuff.
All right, well, it's a moment.
He's not like, what country even is this? I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress. Here's
not in his wheelhouse.
Here's what's happening as the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals begin today. We've got France taking on Morocco. I believe it's about 1 o'clock our time when this game will be on. Now, France won in 2018, so they are one of the countries that has hoisted the FIFA World Cup. They were a finalist back in 2022. They come into this match with 5 wins in 5 games, most recently beating Paraguay 1-0, which was last week. Morocco, of course, we know Morocco. They beat Canada 3-0 in Houston to get here, and they were a semifinalist in 2022 as well. So there's your matchup for today. Victoria Harbour Cats got a 5-0 shutout of the visiting Bend Elks. The Cats will go for the sweep tonight over the Elks in the final game of this 3-game set, 6:35 Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. Toronto Blue Jays will have the day off today after wrapping up their series with a 10-0 thumping of the San Francisco Giants yesterday, aided by an 11-strikeout, one-hit effort from star pitcher Dylan Cease. Seattle Mariners were blanked 2-0 by Miami. And the Edmonton Elks will look to get back into the win column when they host the winless Ottawa Redblacks in CFL action tonight. The 3-1 Elks suffered their first loss last week, falling to the BC Lions 36-24. Meanwhile, the 0-4 Redblacks are coming off a 27-22 loss to Saskatchewan. That is your CFAX Sports to 6:39. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home nomad of the season and big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps that are designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Airstage dealer. Texter at 71010 says, hey, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I just wanted to let you know that the Point Ellis Bridge, otherwise known as the Bay Street Bridge, is open now in both directions.
Oh, Ryan's going to get in his car and drive it.
Unlike last night. Unlike last night, where I was like, I knew this. Why did I do? Anyways,
dawning realization.
Yeah, just this sense of
We don't take it that often, right?
I really let myself down. Well, I take it all the time because I live in a
okay.
Esquimalt.
I was trying
It's
to
a
help you
regular.
out.
Yeah. No, I have no excuse. Anyways, there was overnight road work, overnight closure. It's lifted now a little earlier than scheduled. So if you are taking that route, you are good to go. They also had the overnight work going on at the end of the Keating flyover where they did the paving the previous night, and then last night they were still doing some tidy up work. It was still open, though. It didn't close fully this time, but that road work should be coming to an end if it hasn't already. And for the BC ferries, let's look there. No sailing waits. 7 o'clock sailings coming up with some room left. In the weather forecast, mainly cloudy today. We could see some sunny breaks. Highs of 20, lows down to 13 overnight. We will see cooler temperatures if you're by the water, where the wind will be blowing again. And that's the same forecast kind of for tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. Just maybe a bit sunnier as we are on the weekend side of it. But yeah, a little overcast, a little windy is what we're expecting today. Let's check the markets where Canada's main stock index closed the day yesterday. U.S. markets were mixed after President Donald Trump effectively ended the ceasefire with Iran. So those are the big stories hitting the markets yesterday. Toronto's S&P TSX was down 336 points. In New York, the Dow was down 576. The NASDAQ managed to gain 51 yesterday on the day. Canadian dollar trading overseas at 70.51 cents U.S., which is down a little bit from where it was yesterday. And then the markets really did just open. The bells are just ringing, so we're waiting on those first results of the day. The other thing about business news to mention, and Lisa had this earlier, the potential unraveling of the truce between Iran and the United States has renewed anxiety over fuel prices. We are seeing some prices go up locally. I don't know if it's connected, but there's concerns beyond just us in Victoria that gas prices could start going up if the fighting is sustained, as some strikes have been happening and the ceasefire is waning. But yeah, we have noticed prices around the greater Victoria area are starting to go up already, so watch out for that.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
It's 6:43, and I was mentioning earlier that I have a new morning routine.
Okay.
You know, you make your coffee, you open up your computer,
right?
And then I check to see the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50 total. And we are over 3,000 now.
Oh.
When we ended the show yesterday, we were, what was it, like
$25 short.
We were $25 shy
we're hopeful.
of $3,000. So I checked this morning, and yeah, there it is. This is the CFAX Edis Anonymous Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50. It's a 50/50 raffle, but radio station wide, and we're doing it selling tickets right up until August 27th
Yeah,
at
that's
5
what's
p.m.
different. That's what's really different is we're not just doing it for a day or, the game, which is usually how 50/50 works, right? It's a time limited. This, you got some time to get in on it. You can watch the jackpot grow.
And right now, it has hit $3,175. So were the draw to be today, the winning ticket would get half that. The other half would go to CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program, which is helping children in Greater Victoria beyond Christmas. So that's what we're talking about. And if you want to find out more or just go and buy a ticket, you can go to cfax1070.com and you can click on the big button. It's right there on the front. It's just this big button that's the 50/50, the Mega Summer.
Can't miss it, really.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Smack in the face. There it is. Check it out.
It won't hit you.
There you go. Yeah. It won't actually hit you. What's going on in the news? It's 6:45. Here's Lisa.
All the drama. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Saudi Arabia today looking at deepening bilateral trade and investment. He has meetings with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and business leaders and will take part in a signing ceremony at the investment forum in that country. Canada has been working to mend bilateral ties following a diplomatic rollback in 2018 that resulted in the removal of our ambassadors, well, actually from both countries. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was also very critical of the country's justice system shuttering trade talks down while he was in charge. The Ebola death count in Congo has reached 600, and new cases are suspected of previously unaffected province. Authorities are investigating the links in these cases. The Congolese authorities declaring a fresh Ebola outbreak as of May 15th, and the World Health Organization says the disease has been transmitted for weeks without official detection. Last week, clinical trials for treatment began. Researchers launching a highly anticipated study in the hopes of being able to fight the virus. It's believed that there is no cure for Ebola at this point. And Mounties near the Alberta-BC border have issued an amber alert for a 6-year-old boy. Police say Lana Kai Morrison was taken on Tuesday from the hamlet of Valhalla Center, about 63 kilometers northwest of Grand Prairie. Police say the child may be with his mother and her 35-year-old partner. They may also have his 4-year-old brother traveling with him. They're looking for a 2015 black Toyota Tundra. If you see anything that matches this description, perhaps even if you're traveling to the mainland, you can call 911. They're asking you not to approach. That is your news to 646.
Going to our text machine, 71010. You can join the conversation about anything. This texter at 71010 says, do you know anything about the power outage at UVic? Now, I just looked at the BC Hydro outage site, texter, and I don't see anything. They don't have any reported power outage. So if you know any more, let us know. Or if you're out there and you know about what's going on at UVic, you can text us at 71010. But BC Hydro doesn't seem to have it registering just yet. Then another texter saying, hey, why aren't you talking about the BCNU job action? Well, I'll tell you, we're about to talk about the BCNU job action because with this continuing and some picket lines going up in different places around BC, we're going to reach out to the BC Conservative Labour critic who's got some complaints about how the province is handling the nurses and the strike situation. We're going to get into that next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Fresh Okanagan cherries are now in season at Thrifty Foods. Big, juicy, packed with sweet summer flavor. Pick up some today at Thrifty Foods. Okay, so we heard that the Bay Street Bridge overnight closure is done early, so you can now cross the Bay Street Bridge after that overnight road work. For the rest of the commute, it's looking very light. No volume delays out of the West Shore into Victoria as of yet, but if you see otherwise, you can text me at 71010. No sailing rates at BC Ferries, 7 o'clock from Swartz Bay to Swanston. It's got lots of space left. It's leaving in 10 minutes. And for the weather forecast, it's going to be on the cloudy side today. It sure looks it right now if you take a look outside. It's a little overcast. It's going to stay that way today. Wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait again today. Highs of 20, a little cooler by the water. Tonight, mainly cloudy, lows down to 13, still breezy. And tomorrow, mainly cloudy, highs of 20, cooler by the water. Very much just the same forecast continuing. Right now, for our temperatures, if you are in, let's go to Saanich by the University of Victoria. It's 14 degrees right now. In Langford, it's 13.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, here in BC, the nurses' job action continues. The union saying it's also complaining to the Labour Relations Board over allegations of employer intimidation. The BC Health Employers Association contests the union's characterization, saying they're not directing employees to perform any work outside their role, qualifications, or professional scope, or collective agreement obligations, and they are committed to directly following up on specific concerns. So that's just some of the latest in that bit of tension that we've been hearing about in the news. And then, of course, the picket lines were up around Vancouver recently. So with all this going on, let's get a perspective from the BC Conservative Labour critic, also the MLA for Prince George Mackenzie. Kyle Giddens is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, both Ryan and Lisa. It's a gray, rainy morning here in Prince George, but look forward to the chat this morning.
Yeah, no, great to talk to you. We got some clouds here as well, but not the rain. So it's actually probably a good thing with all the fires to see some rain over BC. But anyways, we're talking nurses. And just before we dive into some of the specifics, what's your overall take so far on where we've gotten with this situation?
Well, it is sad that this is the first time that the nurses have gone to picket lines in actually decades for this level of job action. But it's not a surprise. The level of working conditions has been deteriorating. The government has known this. Obviously, the nurses have talked extensively about the ratios and what that means for their safety, so nurse-to-patient ratios. And the other thing they've talked about is violence in the workplace. And I think there's a breaking point that it's come to, and that's why we're seeing nurses so fed up. That's why they likely rejected the last deal, because I think the working conditions issue is something that they just can't stand.
You've suggested the BC government is showing a lack of respect for the collective bargaining process and how they've been handling this. Can you expand on what you meant when you said that?
Yeah, the government does have a role in patient safety. That is first and foremost in a hospital setting. That's absolutely true. They also have an obligation for a safe workplace for their employees as well. So they have a dual obligation in that. But what they've done is obviously we've heard from other healthcare unions that they've tried to push nurses' scope of practice work onto other unionized employees. And then there's also been these reports of intimidation. I think that has shown, a bit of lack of bad faith in the collective bargaining process. Those discussions and that work needs to be clearly discussed at the bargaining table. The nurses have filed a complaint to the Labor Relations Board on the employer intimidation issue. So I think we should take that seriously and understand that there is a process to follow here and in the legal right to strike in British Columbia.
Yeah, we've had nurses, apparently, according to the union, nurses coming forward to say they're being threatened with discipline, warned their professional licenses could be at risk, and pressured to perform some non-nursing duties and work unauthorized overtime, despite the union's job action, which is pulling the overtime. So those kind of accusations have been flying around. So it's gotten ugly. And can I just say, maybe this is weird, but the politics of this is interesting because you got the NDP in government, and they're usually, the party of Labour. And I've got you on the line. You're the BC Conservative critic. Conservatives, sometimes on the other side of that, but it's you. You got the Conservative here pointing out the working conditions and defending those, while the government is the one at odds with the nurses. It just seems like a strange moment politically to be in, too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think that as Conservatives, we believe in law and order. And what the NDP have allowed in our hospitals is a permissive culture that has allowed illicit drugs and even weapons into hospitals. I've heard of reports from nurses of machetes and various weapons that have been actually brought into the hospital workplace, and there are actually policies saying that we can't remove those and search patient bags or anything like that. So nurses are fed up with the lack of respect for their workplace safety, and I think that's where we certainly align in a big way. We want to have safety for all in British Columbia, including those healthcare workers who they're the first people who are with people at their first breath and their last. And I think that's something we need to have show a level of respect. My mother was a nurse as well, so I know how hard that work is and how hard they work. So it's something that we, as British Columbians, should be grateful for the service that they provide to all of us.
I'll get you to weigh in on this, too. I got a text message here at 7:10:10 from somebody who says they are a nurse. They say, as a nurse, ratio and safety are not even my main issue. We are quite upset that news focuses on ratios as nothing has and will not change at this point. Our breaking points were reduced benefits and raises that don't follow the inflation rate. You want to talk about that angle, too? Because there's the benefits and money are certainly a big part, too.
Well, I think the benefits issue does stem very much so from the stress in the workplace. We're seeing that one nurse is going off on a leave, time loss compensation claim every 16 hours. And that shows the burnout that is happening. And I think the benefits piece of that, when you get RMT coverage and things like that, massage coverage, that's to deal with, the workplace stress at times as well, and making sure that you're staying healthy. So the fact that we're having that many workers' compensation claims in the system is really pointing to a problem, and I think that ratios are part of it. And Adrian Gear, the president of the Nurses Union, has said as much. So I do think that obviously government is in a extremely challenging fiscal situation that they've created in this province, and the fact is there's no more money because obviously the NDP have just fiscally mismanaged the province to an extent that we can't afford to pay for the public services, and that's the sad part of this today.
We're talking to Kyle Giddens, BC Conservative Labour critic. He's also the MLA for Prince George Mackenzie. Hey, thanks for weighing in on the story as we continue to follow it this week.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll take a break. We got the 7 o'clock news coming up in just a moment. Also, we mentioned that there was a report of a power outage around UVic. A listener had mentioned that. Texter at 7:10:10 saying the power just came back on at UVic. So whatever that was, it's all sorted, it sounds like. 7 o'clock news is next.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7 o'clock on Thursday, July the 9th. A little cloudy today. A little breezy still off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Right now, we're sitting at about 14 degrees in Greater Victoria. Full forecast to come. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you and good morning. Saanich Police upgrading criminal charges to murder in connection with an incident on Quadra Street near Mackenzie. It happened July 3rd. The victim of this assault died of their injuries. The charges against 30-year-old Suleiman Budak have been upgraded to murder. The investigation transferred now to the Vancouver Island Integrated Major Crime Unit. Federal officials expected to provide an update about the national wildfire season this morning after 9.
Emergency Management Minister Eleanor Olszewski and other officials are expected to give a briefing later today. The latest information from the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre shows there have been 3,100 fires so far this season. That's compared to around 2,900 at this time last year. The update comes as a pair of fires near the community of Boston Bar in BC have forced hundreds of properties under evacuation orders and alerts. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
Street racing get out of hand in Nanaimo. RCMP planning to crack down. They're ramping up enforcement efforts aimed at curbing vehicles and dangerous operation of motorcycles throughout the city. Police say they've been responding to numerous reports in recent weeks about late-night racing, excessive vehicle noise, stunting, and using public roadways as unofficial drag strips. Police say this dangerous behavior, of course, has a potential for serious collisions. Still on the road, after weeks of little movement on gas prices and us getting somewhat of a deal at the pumps, the latest development in the war of Iran, once again sending prices higher. They're climbing locally and they may climb again. The message from the president to Canadians for affordable energy, Dan McTagg, is maybe your best day to fill up for the foreseeable future.
I think you're going to see gradual increases over the next several days, which will probably bring prices up an average of 10 to 15 cents a litre by the time we get to some other announcement at some point down the road.
Gas prices climbing across Greater Victoria this morning. A litre of regular will set you back anywhere from $1.89 to $2.30 a litre. This is the U.S. and Iran have exchanged intensifying fire across the Middle East this morning, threatening the interim deal to end the war if the ceasefire actually exists anymore. An Iranian official accused the U.S. of targeting the area after Iran's Solo power plant, which the U.S. has not commented on at this point. ABC's Mary Bruce has the latest from U.S. officials on this second night of airstrikes in Iran.
A new round of U.S. attacks on Iran, larger in scope than those the night before, according to a U.S. official, striking at least 90 military targets in response to Iran's attack on commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran immediately retaliating, targeting American bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. All of those missiles and drones said to be intercepted.
The U.S. president warned on social media that things will get, quote, much worse if Iran continues attacking shipping through the Hormuz Strait. A former Olympic canoe racer has pleaded not guilty to deliberately damaging the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in Washington, D.C. David Hearn, who competed in 3 Summer Olympics, entered the plea Thursday in court. Hearn, 67, from Maryland, faces a felony count of property destruction. The U.S. president ordered a multi-million-dollar renovation of the pool, but the project faced issues. The U.S. attorney, Jeanine Pirro, says 6 others have been arrested on related charges. Hearn's attorney argues the charges are based on concocted narrative and criticize the administration, how they handled the situation, or lack of for their case. If you're renting in this region, you may feel you're getting a deal, or maybe not, depending on what end of the stick you're on. The average cost of a 1-bedroom apartment in this city was down last month, according to Rentals.ca. On the other hand, the price tag went up for a 2-bedroom. The 1-bedroom down half a percentage point to by $1, just short of $2,000. So make that $1,999. It's down 1% from June of last year. The 2-bedroom average price was up 1.7% to $2,642. It's still down 2.4% on a year-to-year basis. The price of rentals went down province-wide about 5% in June, so we're still behind that. And Prime Minister Mark Carney was gifted a personalized revolver and ammunition by the Turkish president at the conclusion of the NATO summit in Ankara. The president gave each visiting NATO leader a handgun with their name engraved on it as a gift. Global Affairs Canada say the RCMP is having the weapon decommissioned so it can no longer fire, and the ammunition was left behind in Turkey. Nice surprise for those cleaning the hotel room, I suppose. Canadian government officials have not said what kind of handgun that Carney was gifted with or whether he'll be packing moving forward, but they say the look is a suitable home for the gun, probably looking to put it in a museum instead. That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you think other jurisdictions should follow Nanaimo RCMP's lead, ramping up enforcement efforts aimed at curbing street racing and stunt driving? Well over 80% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 7:07.
Thank you, Lisa. Taking a quick look at the weather. Overcast right now for most of Greater Victoria. It's going to stay that way. We got some wind off the Juan de Fuca Straits. And right now a temperature of 14 degrees as we get towards a high of 20, but cooler by the water. We'll get to the full forecast in a moment, but there's just a quick sense of what it's like as you head out into this Thursday and what's going on in the sports. Well, last night, Victoria Harbour Cats got a 5-0 shutout over the visiting Bend Elks. So that's the second of 3 games. The final will go tonight, and the Cats go for the sweep if they can get one more win over the Elks in the final game. 6:35 is that game time tonight at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays were in action last night. It was the third of 3 games against the Giants in San Francisco and Toronto, wrapping the series with a 10-0 thumping of the Giants. They took 2 of the 3 games of that series. The Jays will close out their road trip now with the 3-game series in San Diego. The opener is tomorrow for the Jays. And for the Seattle Mariners, they lost 2-0 to Miami yesterday. In CFL action, the Edmonton Elks, speaking of teams called Elks, we have another one, but this is the CFL team looking to get back into the win column when they host the winless Ottawa Red Blacks in CFL action. The 3-1 Elks suffered their first loss last week, of course, falling to the BC Lions 36-24. Now over to the World Cup of Soccer, where we've got a game again. After yesterday, there was no games. That was the first time that had happened since the FIFA World Cup began. It was a gameless day, but now we have the quarterfinals beginning with France taking on Morocco. That's the first game up. I think around 1 o'clock our time is the game start there. France is a World Cup winner previously. 2018, they hoisted the cup. They were a finalist in 2022, so they're definitely a contender to watch. And they come into this match facing Morocco, who we know well because they beat Canada 3-0 in Houston to get here. They were also a semifinalist in 2022, so a couple of top teams going at it as we kick off the quarterfinals. And that is your CFAX Sports 2709. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 7:10 on a Thursday morning, and things are looking pretty light when it comes to volume out of the West Shore. It's another one of those days where there doesn't seem to be a thing on the roads. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. But yeah, the West Shore commute moving very smoothly. For downtown Victoria, at the moment, no major issues to report, but there will be delays for paving on Cook Street today, starting about now and going until 7 p.m. This is single-lane alternating traffic, Cook Street between Slater Street and Tolmie. There will be a crews on site, apparently, directing traffic. So this is going on today and tomorrow. Paving work, Cook Street between Slater and Tolmie. For the BC Ferries, no sailing weights right now. There is an 8 o'clock coming up from Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen. And for the weather, mostly cloudy today. We do see some wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait, as we have been seeing all this week, making it feel a bit cooler if you're on that side of the capital region. The Juan de Fuca Strait exposed side, highs of 20, but 16 degrees by the water. Tonight, mainly cloudy, lows to 13. Tomorrow, same forecast again. Maybe a little on the sunnier side as we head into the weekend, but otherwise staying very much the same. We're just kind of in this weather we've been feeling for the last couple of days. Other than it being a bit cloudier today and tomorrow, we're mostly into the same kind of weather pattern. Right now, the temperature in downtown Victoria is 14 degrees. Let's take a look at the markets. Well, a bit of a rebound as we get our first look here. Big drops yesterday on North American stock markets, kind of across the board. Well, the NASDAQ was up a little bit, but today the S&P TSX is starting the day up 149 to 35,084. The Dow in New York is up 65 to 52,413. The NASDAQ up again, 185 to 26,056. Canadian dollar is virtually unchanged, but still... It's like
Still there?
a thousandth of
Holding
a cent
on?
down.
Okay.
So it's in theory going down, but it's at 70.6 cents US, which is pretty much where it was yesterday, except a thousandth of a cent lower than where it was yesterday.
Okay.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, it's summer in full swing. That means so many things going on around Greater Victoria. This weekend, the big Phillips Backyarder is happening, the big concert taking place there. But there's so many other things happening, like all the farmers markets. And you checked out one last night, didn't you, Lisa?
Sure did. Went to the Oak Bay Night Market.
Oh, how was that?
It's the second of 4 that they hold.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's not every week. And I just find that I wait for this one in particular because the artisans and the food and there's wine tasting. It's just a really great mashing up of everything that some of the best that Vancouver Island has to offer. And the one thing that I noticed and a lot of people were commenting on is these big new police style girders that they have in place that they can easily truck in and out of, but basically to stop someone from trying to go through a market, if you know what I'm talking about. So safety, definitely in focus. I've never seen those there before. They could have been at the first one because I wasn't at the first Oak Bay Night Market. But generally, in looking at these things, and I'll post them on our Twitter page so you can take, they're big orange markers that they can sort of like a trolley. They can just roll it out of the way if they don't need it. But it's very obviously what they're there for. To stop a vehicle from possibly going through. So in this new world of, in the wake of, Lapu Lapu in Vancouver, we're not taking any chances here. And parking a vehicle there, it actually was less intrusive looking at these stanchions than it was having a vehicle parked there.
Yeah.
And Oak Bay police were still on hand. They actually had a nice kiosk set up and they were talking to people. And they also had vehicles on either side. But these orange, bright orange, metal, barricades.
Yeah.
It was very obvious what they were for and saying street closed on them. And I was very happy to see that there. And
I think it's, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say it's interesting because we've been seeing the evolution of this since Lapu Lapu in all the things from, say, like the TC 10K race or different markets or parades. Right. All of these things, you've all of a sudden need to have these barriers. And the first evolution of it seemed to be, we'll just get some cars and park them around there because where are we supposed to get barriers otherwise? But this is the first time I've seen, and you showed me the picture you took from the Oak Bay Night Market. It's the first time I've seen these purpose-built kind of barriers, which I guess is sort of an evolution as all of these different organizers try to find the best way. It was just interesting to see that this seems like a more permanent solution rather than just getting the car dealership to show up with some of their vehicles.
Well, not even car dealership. In Ottawa, they'll put like major trucks there, like big trucks, fortified trucks. Larger cities where there's, I can't say there's more of a chance of something happening because it could happen anywhere, this kind of thing with the New World Order. So having say a cement truck or a dump truck parked there, it's kind of an eyesore. These were not. They were not intrusive. And you could see how they were made, that a vehicle were to go over them, they'd get caught up on them. So kudos to who the smart minds behind that, set up on both sides. I think it's a great idea, and I think every market should have them if they can just move them around. Let's do that. I mean, we have so many markets. We have the Oaklands, the first Oaklands market, too, of the year, started yesterday. So if there's no obvious barricade that some markets have, like Moss Street, for example, there's some just natural barricades because it's on the school ground. We have so many markets and we have so many people that we want to protect that frequent these markets, and we want to continue to preserve the chill atmosphere that we have with these, because that's how they are. They're wonderful events to go to, and it was a beautiful night with music, with food, with families, with dogs, with wonderful artisans, great food. Yes, I spent money. Bought a bracelet.
Nice.
And the artisan that sold it to me, she was so thankful.
Well, I love that about going to the markets because you're buying the thing directly from the person who made it or grew it or, whatever it is. I love that connection to these items that you're purchasing at a farmer's market.
It set me back because she was like, thank you. I'm like, you're welcome. Thank you for doing this, like for having this available. And I also bought beer. Craft beer.
Excellent.
Can't leave without craft beer. And they also were selling out pretty quick. Really good beer. So, yeah, I highly recommend, if not the Oak Bay Night Market, doesn't have to be any. Find artisans. Take a look. They always have a list ahead of time of who's going to be there. Just go and discover, right? And you'll be safe, too.
And I hope you do post that picture of the new barricades you saw there. Yeah, do it on Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, check it there. 7:17 to the headlines. What else is going on, Lisa?
3 BC men indicted in the U.S. for alleged involvement in cross-border drug smuggling conspiracy are now facing extradition proceedings. BC residents Jaskam Bagri, Jurgat Singh Samag, and Ravinder Singh Danda have been named as defendants in California grand jury indictment revealed this week. BC Supreme Court shows the 3 cases are now subject to publication bans under the Extradition Act. The U.S. Department of Justice alleges the 3 were involved in a plan to start a new cartel, utilizing trucking and logistic assets, including on farms, in order to smuggle drugs across the U.S.-Canada border. The U.S. launching new airstrikes deep into Iran today, hours after the U.S. president said recent strikes on ships in the Strait of Hormuz signaled the end of the ceasefire, and he threatened to escalate the conflict if Iran didn't stop. Iran responded by targeting U.S. allied Kuwait and Qatar and accused the U.S. of striking near its Seoul nuclear power plant. Back and forth attacks, including yesterday, have repeatedly threatened the ceasefire, but this round appears bigger overall, and it's affecting the price at the pumps. And a young bald eagle back in its nest in Beacon Hill Park. City crews calling in Wild Ark to check it out after it fell. They actually brought in a bucket truck to return the bird to the nest high above. The fledgling found on the ground in the park. A Wild Ark gave it a full examination, said the eaglet was in good condition, had no significant injuries. So happy times in Beacon Hill Park.
Oh, that's so fun.
I know, right? Well, we couldn't rescue the heron, but we got to the bald eagle. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
it's nice to see them.
Yeah, just because was it just a week or two ago, you were mentioning that you were in Beacon Hill Park when an eagle attacked a heron and the heron fell. And this is a nice ending to this story.
And apparently the two, the nesting areas are so close together. It's kind of a weirdly symbiotic relationship.
You got the eagles and the herons nesting together.
They had this agreement that there's going to be a small body count and everybody's okay with that.
Well, and that's
nature.
What the Wild Ark folks said that. I thought that was weird that why would you as a heron, as a prey bird, set up your nests right next to the eagles that are a predator bird?
Right.
But they said it actually kind of works because the eagles as predators sort of keep other predators away.
Like crows and ravens.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Because nobody wants to mess with eagles.
Then they get to listen to the great music at Cameron.
We have three
What was that? Noises. That was me. Sorry. Pushing buttons. I'm getting so excited. I'm flailing and pushing buttons.
If you haven't been there to hear the herons when they really get going, because they get excited about things, you got to hear them because it sounds completely prehistoric. Freaks out the tourists.
I want to go to our text machine at 71010 on a completely unrelated topic.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the birds of Beacon Hill Park, but we were talking before the end of last hour to the BC Conservative Labour critic, and we were talking about the nurses' strike. And we mentioned a text message that came in just saying, hey, just want to set the record straight that this isn't all about ratios of nurses to patients and all of those things. There is money is a big deal here. We want a bigger raise. We want benefits, those kind of things. This nurse who texted in, and we mentioned that text to the conservative critic we were talking to, and that texter just wrote back, and I just wanted to read a bit of this. Texter says, thank you, Ryan, for mentioning my text. It's just concerning that they keep pushing this ratio issue as the main concern and keep saying that there is no money while they spend millions on FIFA or for other countries. They have been talking about ratios for many, many years, and nothing will change as they just can't find enough nurses to fully staff the units. Not to mention long-term care nurses have 35 to 40 patients per nurse per shift, and they made no changes other than reducing the number of nurses. Nurses are also upset that male-dominated professions like firefighters or police got much higher raises and benefits package than us nurses. Government does not like to talk about that. Nurses are 12%, getting a 12% raise over 4 years barely covers the inflation rate, as nurses get the same deal as teachers and BCGEU workers, meaning if nurses get higher raises, government has to follow the same raise to other professions, and on and on and on. The text goes on. I'll leave it there, though, but I think point taken. Just, that don't forget that money is a big part of this and raises, not just the ratios.
Huh.
when we talk about the nurses.
Okay.
From a nurse on the front lines themselves. Thanks so much for texting in.
Cost of living. It's always a thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Thank you for the text. We love it when you join the conversation. We love your perspective. And we'll take a break. Traffic and weather next.
Whether it's siding, gutters, or decking, ProTech Exterior Products has it all. Visit beahomepro.com to find out more.
Let's talk CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It's only about a 23-minute drive from the Costco area of Langford. I'm talking Millstream near the Trans-Canada Highway. If you're going from there into downtown Victoria, about 23 minutes. That is a breeze. There's not a lot going on in traffic right now. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. Bay Street Bridge is back open after the overnight road work as well. For the weather forecast, we're a touch on the cloudy side today. We're going to be mostly overcast with wind continuing off the water. Highs of 20. Windy off the Wandafuka Strait. Just a little cooler today, but otherwise a fairly similar forecast to the last few days. Just a bit cloudier, a bit cooler. And it's the same again tomorrow. The weekend might get a bit sunnier, but still looking very similar. The forecast is just staying the same, and right now it's 14 degrees.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, we were talking about all of the things going on around town for summer, and one of them is an event called Soberfest. They've done this a few times now. It's kind of becoming one of those events you expect on the calendar. This year it's August 15th. What is Soberfest? Well, it's a music festival, but it's specifically geared towards being alcohol and drug-free. And why is that a thing that they do? Well, let's talk to the founder of Soberfest. Mike Manhas is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great to talk to you here. Great to hear that Soberfest is coming back. And for those who haven't caught on to the story yet, just tell people what it is and why it's important to have sort of a substance-free music festival.
Soberfest is it's a great outdoor family festival. We've got some great Canadian artists coming. I think when we started it, the goal was just to try and help one person get to treatment. With the way our system works, most people end up waiting between 3 months to 9 months to get into treatment, and we wanted to try and change that a bit. We've managed to send 120 people to treatment. We've raised over $3 million in treatment solutions, whether it's or recovery solutions, whether it's treatment, counseling, or second stage recovery. I think another big part of why we do it is we always expect people just to go to treatment and come back and be okay, and that they should just all of a sudden be cured. And the reality is the disease doesn't work that way. And so Soberfest is one of those things that people get a chance where they can come back and start practicing doing things. And so we don't want people to end up going to, and we want them to go to the Phillips backyard, but like it's happening. And instead of coming out of treatment and going to Phillips backyard, not knowing what to do, getting uncomfortable and getting loaded, why don't you start with a thing like Soberfest? And why don't you come there and be around people where you get to practice doing all those things that you did before, where you were intoxicated, but doing it in a safe environment. And then when you practice it enough, the goal, like I've always said, is not to be a pariah. It's to integrate back into community, but to integrate back in a slow way.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just about having a good time.
Having a good time, but doing it in the absence of some of those temptations, or even just celebrating the absence of those temptations. Where is it this year? So I mentioned it was August 15th. Where do you find it?
It's at Starlight Stadium, and we've got Biff Naked this year, Maestro Fresh West, Beefy Dobson, Tyler Shaw, Snack the Ripper, and Moon Tricks as our headliners.
You got some pretty big names there.
We do. We've grown exponentially. The very first year, I remember nobody would even give us a space to do it. Although most festivals, people are getting loaded, the most common phrase I heard was, "We really don't want that kind of crowd here." And this year, we're at a stadium. We went from 400 people to 3,500 people last year. And it's growing exponentially.
Wow.
It's been amazing how the community's come on board.
I guess you kind of had to just stick with it and prove that it would work, and prove that it was going to be, I guess, just show everybody what this was going to be before they could catch on. But now they've caught on.
I think so, and it's our community is amazing, and it's I think one of our models that it's run by a volunteer charity called Rewired Recovery Foundation, which we started, and it's our motto is that it takes a community to heal. And our community here steps up in a big way to show that's true.
Well, Soberfest is on again. It's bigger than ever. It's at Starlight Stadium, August 15th. And if you want to go, how can people find tickets or information about it?
They can head to soberfestvictoria.ca. Tickets are $50. We try and keep them as reasonable as we can to make sure that everyone can attend. Kids are free. All kids get free T-shirts and free sunglasses, because we want it. Nowadays, to do a family event, it ends up costing people anywhere from $500 to like $2,000 to go out to take a family of four out. Our goal is, with food and everything included, you should be at less than $200. Ideally, less than $150 to end. And that's for everyone to go out, kids to get merchandise, and everyone to eat. Wow. And then we also have a massive kid zone that's with between bouncy castles, face painters, superheroes, balloon artists, you name it. We've pulled everything together to make sure that this is going to become the premier family event in Southern Vancouver Island.
Soberfest. Check it out now, because it's coming up soon. That's Mike Manhas. He's the founder of the event. Thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck, and hey, I hope this thing keeps growing for you.
Thank you so much for making the time.
7:30 News next on CFAX.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily. What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago. And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah. Vashi Capellos. There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which
is on CFAX 1070.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio, pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:32 on Thursday, July the 9th. A little cloudy today. Highs eventually hitting 20. Right now we're sitting at 15. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thanks, Ryan, and good morning. A shocking story coming from the Times Colonist this morning. A Central Saanich family recovering after their two young sons were attacked by a large dog last week. Brianne and Chris Pennington out for a walk with their 7- and 3-year-old sons in Central Saanich on Canada Day when a Rottweiler bolted towards them from a property across the road. The dog started attacking the older boy first, biting his head and arms. The 3-year-old ended up losing half his ear when the dog charged at his mother, who was holding the boy at the time. The mom, Brianne, says the attack lasted several minutes. The family thanking neighbors who came to their rescue. The dog was seized by CRD Animal Control and euthanized, this according to the Rottweiler's owner. The younger boy is now facing surgeries to better repair his ear. Central Saanich investigators say there was no previous reports or dealings with this dog or its owner. RCMP near the Alberta-BC boundary have issued an Amber Alert for a 6-year-old boy. Police say Lanakai Morrison was taken Tuesday from a hamlet of Valhalla Centre, which is about 63 kilometres northwest of Grand Prairie. Police say Lanakai may be with his 35-year-old mother and her 35-year-old partner. Another child, a 4-year-old son, may also be traveling with them. Investigators looking for a black 2015 Toyota Tundra. They may not be on the island, of course, but it's always good to keep a lookout. Anyone who sees a vehicle like this or people who match the description are asked to call 911. Do not approach. One man has died in a motorcycle collision in the Duncan area. It happened around 9 Saturday night on the TCH near Mount Sicker Road. The southbound bike traveling southbound when apparently the rider lost control, the bike overturning in the ditch. The rider was pronounced dead at the scene. The BCGEU is mourning the loss of former President Stephanie Smith, who passed away Monday night. A statement from the union says Smith made history as the first woman elected president of the union in more than its 100-year history. She took office in 2014, served as president for a decade till 2024. Born in Montreal, Stephanie Smith was a mother of 2 and was living in Richmond at the time of her passing. Ottawa is putting international law as one of its top priorities at the UN, as others accuse Canada of pulling its punches. Canadian UN Ambassador David Lametti says international rules under strain by major and regional powers, and that Ottawa is alarmed by countries killing civilians, aid workers, and UN staff.
And I don't think anyone's attacking humanitarian law directly, but there are military actions which have an impact on caregivers, on humanitarian aid workers, on the UN and UN peacekeepers, for example.
Mehdi says he and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand are both former law professors who want to advance defending and shaping global rules. And a singer who became famous for her raspy powerhouse vocals has died.
Bonnie Tyler burst onto the scene in the 1970s with the country-flavored It's a Heartache. But it was Total Eclipse of the Heart, released in 1983, that may have been her biggest hit. The Welsh singer's raspy voice was the result of a medical mistake. Doctors told her to remain quiet after vocal cord surgery, but she screamed in frustration. That mistake created her trademark voice. She was often called the female Rod Stewart. Bonnie Tyler was 75. I'm Daria Albinger.
That's your CFAX News to 736. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you agree with the Nanaimo RCMP's lead in ramping up, trying to curb street racing and stunt driving. Do you think other jurisdictions should follow suit? 88% saying yes right now. You can vote at cfax1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:37.
Thank you, Lisa. It's going to be cloudy today. Highs to hit 20 degrees, so a little cooler than it's been, but otherwise a fairly similar day to the last few. We'll get you the full details in a moment. Right now, over to the sports, starting on the local scene. Victoria Harbour Cats with a 5-0 shutout over the visiting Bend Elks last night. That was game 2 of 3 against the Elks, and the Cats will now go for the sweep with 2 wins so far. Can they get a third? We're going to see that game at 6:35 tonight at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays with a win last night, 10-0 over the San Francisco Giants. So at the end of that series, Jays took 2 of 3 games. And now they will hit the road. They're off today, but they're in San Diego to wrap up their road trip with the opener set tomorrow. And for the Seattle Mariners, they lost last night to Miami, 2-0 the score there. Edmonton Elks in action tonight. They host the winless Ottawa Redblacks in the CFL. The 3-1 Elks are coming off their first loss of the season, which was a 36-24 defeat to the BC Lions. Ottawa is winless after 4 games. The Redblacks are coming off a 27-22 loss to Saskatchewan. Over to the World Cup. France and Morocco meet today in the quarterfinals at the FIFA World Cup. This game is going to be in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Morocco advanced with a 3-0 win over Canada, of course, back in the round of 16. So that's one team here. And on the other side, France, top ranked. They edged Paraguay 1-0 to get to this point. The winner of this one will go on to play either Spain or Belgium in the semifinals next Tuesday. Spain and Belgium will be coming up a little later. But France and Morocco, that's the first game today in the quarterfinals. And that's your sports to 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu air stage dealer. On the roads, we continue to be looking very light for volume. I was mentioning earlier, it's only taking less than 25 minutes, it seems, to go from about the Costco area of Langford, so that's sort of Millstream and the Trans-Canada Highway, all the way into downtown Victoria. It's not taking much time at all because there's not much happening on the roads today. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits for the weather forecast. It is a mainly cloudy day with the wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait, highs of 20 degrees, a little cooler by the windy water. And tonight, a mainly cloudy night with lows down to 13. Tomorrow looks exactly the same. Saturday and Sunday could be a little on the sunnier side as the clouds start to part with a mix of sun and cloud and temperatures into the low 20s, but still very much similar to the rest of the week. It's a fairly stable forecast weather-wise for Greater Victoria. Here are the temperatures we're seeing right now. In Oak Bay, it is 13 degrees. In Brentwood Bay, it is 15 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX continue to make a bit of a rebound after yesterday's losses, up 165 to 35,101. The Dow in New York is up 23 to 52,371. The Canadian dollar at 70.6 cents U.S., which is basically where it was yesterday, just down a thousandth of a cent.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
We love it when you join the conversation at 71010. And this texter at 71010 says, hey, any word on the bike and scooter share program for Victoria? Will we get a rent-a-bike program like Saanich and Colwood? Interesting texter that you bring that up. This actually is something I can answer. So the City of Victoria back at the end of June did make a choice because they were putting out that request for proposals saying, hey, we want bids for running a bike share program in Victoria. And we'd already seen this roll out in some other municipalities. For instance, Saanich, you mentioned Colwood there. There are a few others that I think Langford is involved with this as well. They have the Evolve e-bike share.
Right.
So these e-bikes you can get. Evo and Evolve. This is the BCAA one. So BCAA has, the Evo car share.
Okay.
This is their their version of bike share. And they already operate in Saanich and Langford and Colwood. Victoria, when they announced the winner of their bids, they went with a different company. They went with a company called Lime, which is a U.S.-based company. They have, go figure,
you see
bright
them.
lime bikes.
Stand out, which is good.
Yeah. Have you seen any of these yet?
No.
Because I don't think they announced the bid just at the end of June, and they said kind of later summer is when they were expecting to get them launched. So you might not see them yet, Texter, but they did make the choice, and I guess their work is now underway to set these things up.
Okay.
To be determined when they actually launch.
It takes a while to roll these out. I mean, with all the bike lanes, you think it would just be a given that we get a program together.
Yeah. Now, a couple of interesting things about this, though, Lisa. There's controversy.
Of course there is.
Can I tell you about the controversy? So since it's a different company than the neighboring municipalities, it means that you can't just do the thing that you can do with the Evo cars. Like if you start your journey, you find the car wherever it is, and you drive it, then you park it wherever you're going, and then you're done.
Which is super handy.
Super handy. But since Saanich and Langford and Colwood are now with a different company than Victoria, you can't just take an e-bike, in this case from, say, Colwood, take it into downtown Victoria and then leave it and be done with it because it's outside of its area. And so some people have been quite upset with this, that Victoria went a different direction and didn't just pick the same program because now it doesn't all mesh together.
Yeah, that's a bit of planning that kind of went sideways, I would say.
Yeah, now they say, city councilors say that it's just because this was a better bid. They had a request for proposals. They got to respect the process. This bid was better. But some people upset that they couldn't have just picked the one that meshes with everybody else.
Well, I understand the whole about taking. I'd like to know the difference in the bids if that's ever made public, and I'd like to know, Okay, well, we need to get on board if we're going to allow people to transport. We can't have the battery die because you've hit the border of a community, basically. You can't, that's not good planning.
Yeah. This texter says, oh boy, I have your, no, the texter's.
That's different?
It moved. Sorry. Anyways, oh boy, I have your Lime. I have Lime. They're great. Have your Evo. The problem with Victoria being the odd person out. How do you ride from one municipality to the other? Well, I mean, you can. You just can't end your trip in that municipality, which is the complaint.
If you're going one way, and that's what's so cool about Evo vehicles. You can just go one way.
Yeah, you can't do that in this setup, which is everybody's complaint.
That's not good planning.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for the text, listener at 71010. That is sort of the situation as I know it. But the Lime bikes will be showing up on the streets of Victoria sometime this summer, they say. We just don't have the hard date yet.
Just won't see them in Oak Bay or Saanich.
Yeah. Over to the headlines at 7:45. Here's Lisa.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada stands alongside Gulf countries as Iran lashes out against them. The comments follow new airstrikes by the U.S. against Iran earlier this morning. Tehran firing at Kuwait and Qatar. Anand says that the calls on the attacks on commercial ships are unacceptable and completely unjustified. She says Canada will be better positioned to offer support in securing the Strait of Hormuz when a permanent ceasefire is in place. Mark Carney is in Saudi Arabia today looking to deepen bilateral trade and investment. He's meeting with the Crown Prince and business leaders and taking part in a signing ceremony at the Saudi Arabia-Canada Investment Forum. Canada has been working to mend bilateral ties following a diplomatic row 8 years ago that resulted in the removal of ambassadors from both countries. And the Prime Minister was gifted a personalized revolver and ammunition by the Turkish president at the conclusion of the NATO summit this week. The president actually gave each NATO leader a handgun with their name engraved on it as a gift. The RCMP are having the weapon decommissioned so it can't fire. The ammunition was left behind in Turkey. Canadian officials have not said what kind of handgun that Carney may be packing. Won't be able to fire, though. They are looking for a suitable home for it, such as a museum. Good idea. That's your news. Is 7:46. Yes.
We got people going on this bike share thing.
Well,
Texter at 71010 says this bike share is another reason for amalgamation.
yeah. Well, I was going to say the A word, and then I didn't want to say that because that's the trigger the way traffic circles are. But it's true. It's have the same thing so that people can commute anywhere. You can rent, you can commute. Yeah.
Another texter saying, evidence that we need to amalgamate. None of these municipalities deserve to exist on their own.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because it was cheap. I want to know how much cheaper it was.
And they also
really want to know how much.
And they said the technology and the rollout. I'm going back on memory because this was end of June that they made this announcement. But they said that there was a bunch of stuff about the bid they liked better. But yeah, I don't know.
But the bigger scope is you can ride it one way to a community, and then what are you going to do with it? You have to bring it back to Victoria. So it doesn't necessarily. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if I was to rent one because I have my own and they're fantastic. They're so convenient to use, and we have a plethora of bike lanes going in everywhere that we want to be able to use them on. Anyway, let's discuss because we're going to.
I got another texter. Sorry, there's so many now. This texter says, "Oops, situation normal. Another example of our municipal governance being out of touch with what the majority of the community would like to see. And no, amalgamation is not the solution," says this texter, because heaven forbid a Victoria Council get the majority. This texter says, "We should amalgamate." There's another one. And then this texter, sorry, it's really setting people off. This texter says, we have big bike and scooter parking lots at the border of every municipality. That's, there's just line the municipality with the bike parking. Like, this is where you got to change because you can't just
you've got to change. When you wouldn't have had to, I'm at a loss.
I like how Lisa's brain is just fizzling at the moment.
Well,
I can just see the smoke rising.
Because I just don't understand. For the sake of the community, because you want so many more people to be on two wheels and you want green energy used, then you got to be able to work with the other communities to make sure that the public can actually use these said vehicles.
Yeah. Well, thanks for weighing in at 71010.
It's coming.
We're going to change topics completely, though, coming up and talk more about the Trans Mountain. The oil pipeline that would follow the Trans Mountain route if it were to happen. It's Alberta's proposal that we've been talking about. Another take on this coming up next about the opportunities for BC's economy out of this with the Business Council of BC who are weighing in.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50/50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, 7:51 now, and it's smooth sailing. Let's just say that. There's an easy commute ahead of you if you're heading anywhere around Greater Victoria right now. Not a lot of people on the roads. If you see anything otherwise, text me at 71010. For the weather forecast, we are looking at a cloudier day today, a little overcast, a little cooler, but not much. It's high of 20, cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. Lows tonight going down to about 13 degrees with mainly cloudy skies. And then tomorrow is the same forecast. And then the weekend is similar, just maybe a bit more sunshine as the clouds start to part. But really, we're not changing too much in the weather for the next few days. Right now, in downtown Victoria, the temperature's 14 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yes, Alberta's proposed pipeline route, a southern route, which would follow the Trans Mountain pipeline route for the most part until it kind of continues on to the Point Roberts area terminal. That's the route that's being proposed. Yes, that route has been proposed. But what does it mean for BC? Other than having a pipeline over here, what opportunities could this bring to BC? That's the focus of my next guest. The Business Council of BC has been thinking about this, and the Director of Policy, Hiro Yunus, is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Great to get you here. So, weighing in on this, we've been talking all about the route and the politics of it, but let's talk a bit more about if this were to come to pass, because there's no done deal yet, but if this were to come to pass, what would it mean for BC and what kind of opportunities could we be looking at?
Yeah, so, I mean, the big picture here is that we have come a long way. For years, the conversation in the country was about almost everything except investment, energy exports, economic growth, and now we're seeing governments, federal and provincial, put the economy back at the center of the agenda, and that is a welcome one. Now, on the benefits to BC, on the proponents' modeling, it states that a large share of the construction spending is going to happen here in BC. I think in the order of 3/4 of all the capital expenditures is going to land in BC. Peak employment in BC could be in the tens of thousands during construction. There's also recurring benefit, things like property taxes to local governments. The submission estimates around $50 million a year in BC. That's money that flows to municipalities and regional districts. So but those are kind of the direct benefits for it. The more durable point for BC is the trade aspect of one. This is about turning our coast into a real gateway and giving Canadian producers more than one customer to sell to.
Now, but does that part benefit BC? Because if Alberta is selling more oil to the world, I mean, the federal government and the Alberta governments would take some taxes off of that. How does BC benefit from being the port and the host of the pipeline for that?
Well, it's important because the export earnings flow through BC. Yes, some of that will go to producers, some of that will go to the pipeline companies, but some of that stays here in BC because of all the ancillary services around the port. So all the logistic and transportation and warehouse services that serve that operation. So that's in addition to all this benefit of the construction spending landing in BC, all the electrical work, the engineering, the construction, the peak employment. You also have, like I mentioned, the recurring benefit of property taxes to local governments or regional districts. So it is quite beneficial for BC as well, and also the Canada-BC Cooperative Prosperity Agreement that was signed with the federal government. So it's all part of this newfound reset from the federal government and provincial governments of putting the economy back at the center of the debate.
I want to talk more about that agreement in just a second, but one last question, because one of the things you mentioned is even like property taxes. And this is a silly question, which maybe is obvious, but I guess, the pipeline, wherever it runs, they would pay taxes in whatever municipality that is. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the proposed line runs roughly 1,200, I believe, kilometers from the Bruderheim area, that's just outside Edmonton, all the way to Robert Banks at Delta. So it's a big pipe. There's 11 pump stations. There's a delivery terminal. There's a receipt terminal. There's a marine terminal at the coast with 2 berths built for the largest crude tankers. So all of that infrastructure ends up paying property taxes to local governments.
Okay, so you mentioned, too, there's an agreement between BC, Alberta, and Ottawa about, revenue sharing, but also risk sharing. Talk more about this agreement and how this sort of changes the equation for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the agreement between BC and the feds really builds momentum. and it signals that the province and the federal government are aligned. That improves the odds that major projects actually move from announcement to construction, and it's about BC's own priorities. There's LNG in that agreement, there's expanding electricity transmission, there's critical minerals, there's ports. So for us, at least it matters for three reasons. So, for example, these projects support new career opportunities for young people. They create the conditions for people to earn higher wages. They generate revenue that funds the services that British Columbians rely on. And when the federal and the provincial government actually work together, that is what it takes to get things built, to lowers political risk and tells investors that Canada is open for business. And finally, another benefit of this is that investments in ports, in transportation corridors, trade, what we call trade enabling infrastructure, improves our ability to ship what we produce to markets beyond the United States. And Ryan, after the 18 months we just had, that matters more than ever.
Well, there's a take from the Business Council of BC. Director of Policy Hero Eunice is on the line as we take a look at what does it mean for BC? We've had the big national discussion about building this pipeline, but what kind of benefits could we be looking at if this thing comes to pass? It's still not a done deal yet, but they certainly made some big steps towards that recently with the latest announcements and agreements between the provinces and the federal government that we've been hearing about. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk again as soon as this story unfolds, but thank you for this today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. Always a pleasure.
We'll take a break. The 8 o'clock news coming up next on CFAX.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
8 o'clock on Thursday, July 9th. Good morning. Welcome to the day. We've got some clouds out there. They're not really going away today. We're going to stay mostly cloudy with the temperature eventually getting to 20 degrees. Cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. I'll get you the full forecast in a moment. Right now, let's get to the 8 o'clock news with Lisa Best.
Thank you. After weeks, a little movement on gas prices and a bit of a deal at the pumps. The latest development on the war in Iran again has gas stations locally clutching their pearls. Gas prices are climbing and may climb even further than where they're at right now. The message from the president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, Dan McTeague, is that this may be the best day to fill up for the foreseeable future.
I think you're going to see gradual increases over the next several days, which will probably bring prices up an average of 10 to 15 cents a litre by the time we get to some other announcement at some point down the road.
Gas prices climbing across Greater Victoria this morning. A litre of regular ranges from $1.89 to $2.30. Diesel at $2.04 to $2.23 a litre, according to Gas Buddy. Meantime, ABC's Karen Hua has the latest from U.S. officials on what the second night of airstrikes in Iran look like.
Central Command saying forces hit 90 Iranian military targets. Video online appears to show some of the attacks. Iran retaliating, targeting facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait. This latest U.S. escalation follows Iranian attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
U.S. President warned on social media that things will get much worse. That's his quote, if Iran continues attacking shipping through that region. Meantime, there's praise for Trump at the summit that wrapped yesterday, the NATO summit in Turkey, despite several controversial moments of his interactions with other world leaders. CTV's Graham Richardson was there.
Carney says U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing NATO to change.
It's not just he's winning the argument, he's won the argument. Countries recognize that they need to take more responsibility, see the direct threats.
Trump blasted Spain, threatening to cut off all trade with the United States.
And Spain is a wasted cause. We don't want to do any trade business with Spain anymore.
A short time later, it was all about unity with NATO allies.
The unity in that room was incredible. The really a love. It was sort of pretty wild.
In Venezuela, nearly 2 weeks after twin earthquakes, powerful earthquakes 40 seconds apart, the death toll is now rising to more than 3,800, and many still are missing. ABC's James Longman has the latest.
Thousands more are missing. The country has relied almost entirely on foreign emergency assistance, like the $310 million from the US, as well as rescue teams to help find survivors. But they, like most international teams, are now gone. And while aid is still coming in, many areas are still without power, water, or food.
On a lighter note, on a typical day, Google processes over 16 million online queries, but the number was much higher this week, peaking over the beautiful games underway.
On Tuesday night, the world's most popular search engine crushed its own all-time record for searches per second. And it's no coincidence that it comes during World Cup play in North America. Google won't disclose precise numbers, but says the most searched term was Argentina versus Egypt.
We got games coming up today. And Canadian pop star Justin Bieber is set to perform at the first ever World Cup halftime show. His 11-minute performance will be part of the show that will also feature Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. FIFA says the show is expected to have a couple billion people tuning in to watch. The World Cup final is scheduled for July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And speaking of singers, we've lost singer Bonnie Tyler.
It's a holiday. Singer Bonnie Tyler, the Grammy nominee known for songs like It's a Heartache, has died at age 75. Tyler's family says she died unexpectedly in a hospital in Portugal where she had a home and was being treated for an illness. In May, Tyler had emergency intestinal surgery and was placed in an induced coma, but had been improving. Tyler earned 3 Grammy nominations, and her song Total Eclipse of the Heart has had more than 1 billion streams. Bonnie Tyler dead at age 75. I'm Donna Warder.
That's your CFAX News to 8:05. Here's CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you think other jurisdictions should be following Nanaimo's lead? RCMP, they're ramping up enforcement efforts aimed at curbing street racing and stunt driving. Over 80% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:06.
Thank you, Lisa. I want to
Yes.
be distracted for a second here.
Okay.
Texter 71010 weighing in because we've been talking about the bike share program.
Correct.
Just because the texter asked, like, hey, what's happening with bike share in Victoria?
Yeah.
I mentioned, well, the city did choose a request for proposals for a company called Lime, and they've already begun work setting these up. They're not available yet, but sometime this summer. Lime bike share, like e-bikes to come. And then, of course, the complaints are that, well, that's not the same company as Langford and Saanich and Colwood. So you're not going to have systems that work together. You won't be able to like take one from one spot and end your journey in the other because they don't. Anyways, lots of people incensed at this, and we're getting so many text
Guilty
messages.
as charged.
You also. This texter, though, says this. Okay, enough bad news today about the bike share program in Victoria, but did you know the real story? Did you know we can no longer buy frozen concentrate juice in Canada?
What?
Frozen orange juice or frozen lime juice, frozen lemon juice.
What?
They've stopped importing it and selling it in Canada. Could make a wicked margarita with that stuff, says the texter.
You know, they still don't have ketchup chips, though, do they?
They don't. But had you heard this,
win.
though, that the frozen, you know those...
No, I did not know that.
You go to the freezer aisle in Canada, you buy the little frozen concentrate thing, you mix it up.
And you got good drinks, good summer drinks. And now with summer here, what are we going to do?
But I've got an update.
Okay.
I'll tell you what you're going to do.
Okay.
So just because this texter brought this up, but I have heard this, the no more frozen
shortage?
juice.
Or just not here?
Loblaws, they're bringing it back.
Oh.
I'm not trying to do a commercial for Loblaws. This is just the news.
You're just saying where you could find it.
They are doing a No Frills branded frozen concentrate juice that they're bringing back to the store shelves. So if you want to find the frozen juice, that's an option I know that is coming back to Canada. The caveat, though,
What's
is...
the price of it?
I'm not sure. The caveat is it's not
$15.
going to be Canadian because I guess there's no more there's no more Canadian producers of this, which is part of the problem. The Canadian producers stopped making it. Loblaws went and found an international source. So at least it'll be there, but it's just not going to be a Canadian product.
But you still get all the fresh stuff, right?
Yeah, you can still buy fresh juice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the frozen concentrate juice, which was such a, I don't know, it was a staple of my childhood. You know,
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
One of your jobs
That
was
and
to
Kool-Aid.
Mix the thing, try not
That
to get
was
the
a fun
water
job.
ratio
That was
wrong.
Yeah, that was a good job.
Yeah.
So if you do go buy it, let us know what the price is. I'm curious.
There you go. This texter says, first, no American bourbon. Now, no frozen juice.
Right?
I hope one day we're treated like adults.
U.S. is kind of upset that we don't have their booze on our shelves, though.
Yeah.
That's hit the radar, so.
This texter says, good morning. No Frills does have frozen juice up in Campbell River. Hey, thanks for listening in Campbell River, and thanks for checking
Campbell
in.
River's got it going on.
They do.
It's like Langford. It's where it all happens. I love Campbell River.
The texter who originally asked about it has just sent me the praise thank you hands as a emoji in response to all this. Okay, I warned you I was going to take us down a different path, and there we go. I've now completed my side quest.
Got our juice.
Talking about juice. Let's talk sports. And let's kick it off with the World Cup report.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. After our first day with no games since the tournament began, the World Cup resumes today with the first of 4 quarterfinals. France will play Morocco in a rematch of their 2022 World Cup semi, which France won 2-0. France has rolled so far in this tournament, 5 wins in 5 games while outscoring its opponents 14-2. Morocco, meanwhile, is unbeaten in its last 34 matches, and TSN soccer analyst Claire Rustad likes this matchup for the underdog.
I'm really looking forward to the matchup, and if there is a team in the round of 16, a matchup in the round of 16 where I think that France could actually get beaten, Morocco's the team to do it.
France trying to become the 3rd team in history to go to 3 straight World Cup semifinals. The game kicks off at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go, CFAX 1070 World Cup report, and that is your CFAX 1070 Sports. Frozen juice. Texter 71010 says the frozen Minute Maid juice was announced discontinued in February. Yeah, I heard the news back then too. We just had a texter write in about it. And then this texter continues to say, no name is coming back though. And that's from Tracy. Yes, Tracy, that's great news. We've already had one listener saying they just saw it in Campbell River. So your frozen juice report now complete. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Things remain lighter than usual when it comes to volume delays out of the West Shore. No major issues. Smooth sailing for the most part. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. BC Ferries, no sailing waits. 9 o'clock sailing is about 80% full, so it's busy, just no sailing waits if you're going from Swartz Bay to Sawasan. And for the weather forecast, it is clouding over today. We'll see clouds tomorrow as well. So cloudy couple of days. Temperatures in about the 20-degree range as a high, although cooler by the windy Wandafuka Strait, because that's still a thing. It's been the thing all this week. It'll get a little sunnier on the weekend, but not changing too much. Mix of sun and cloud with temperatures around about 21, 22 degrees. So yeah, very stable weather. Just a little more overcast for the next couple of days. Right now, for the temperatures in Oak Bay, it is 14 degrees. In Colwood by the water, it's 15. On the markets, S&P TSX up 221 now as the rebound continues, up to 35,157. The Dow is up 82 to 52,430. Canadian dollar at 70.6 cents US, which is exactly where it was yesterday. Just the momentum has changed. It's now up 0.003 of a cent instead of being down 1,000th of a cent.
You're really splitting hairs today.
It's where's the momentum going? But otherwise, the dollar is exactly where it was, unchanged. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods, where fresh Okanagan cherries are now in season. They're big, they're juicy, they're packed with sweet summer flavor. You can pick some up today at Thrifty Foods.
What are the limits of human knowledge?
Welcome to the Nerd Lab.
Yes, science.
CFAX science stuff.
Science, yeah.
Blinded me with science.
I don't know what that means.
With Ryan and Lisa.
Yeah, it's time to get into the Nerd Lab. Where are we going with this today, Lisa?
He realized it fizzled quickly. He's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, what's going on? What are we doing?
I was giving you options here. Do you want to talk about anger issues and what it does to you? Do you want to talk about some sleep tips?
Ooh, I want sleep tips.
Okay.
I'm not feeling angry today. I'm actually feeling really good.
Feeling good, right?
I feel like
Feeling
sleep.
strong? Okay.
Sleep is what I want to talk
Just
about.
don't talk about traffic circles or bike lanes or e-scooters or Lime.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So, do you sleep with an air cleaner?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Okay, because studies have been said that that increases your intelligence just an iota. So, like you're talking about the dollar being up or down just slightly.
Yeah.
It increases your intelligence just slightly.
So
if you sleep with an air cleaner on in your bedroom at night.
Really? Now, what does that have to do with my intelligence?
I don't know, but that was part of the research that we presented before. The one I want to hit on here is, do you sleep with scents? You know, we talk about scented rooms and maybe a candle burning, or people put lavender in their room, or the smell of citrus. Depends on what you like. Smell, that connection with your brain's olfactory system, is directly linked to regions responsible for learning and emotion. And smart people out of UC Irvine show that older adults who inhaled large natural scents such as rose, orange, or lavender during sleep experienced, get this, a 226% improvement in memory and learning tests.
But so what were those smells again?
So the rose, orange, and lavender.
Right.
Because they had to test specific smells. Participants were exposed to different fragrances nightly over several months, leading to stronger neural pathways involved in cognition. The findings suggest that the scent stimulation during sleep can enhance your brain's plasticity without drugs or invasive treatments. A simple, non-invasive method with a strong potential to support memory and reduce cognitive decline at any point. So, sleep with scent in your room. So the scents that they studied that went right off the charts were rose, orange, and lavender.
I wonder if
lavender grows wild in Victoria.
What about the scent of dog? Because that's the scent I have in my room. As my dog sleeps beside me on the bed. Did that register at all for memory?
Maybe a wet dog.
Wet dog, yeah. What?
The dog. You wake up and your dog's like breathing right in your ear.
And I'm like, thank you. I now am smarter than I was yesterday.
Why does the smallest person in the house take up the most room in the bed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get.
When I say person, I mean, for a
dog.
person. Yeah.
And I'm definitely shoved to the edge of my bed by my sleeping dog.
Well, what's your dog's name?
Ahsoka.
Okay. Ask Ahsoka?
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. Ask Ahsoka what flavor, what scent would work. Maybe Ahsoka would get smarter too. They haven't done the study on dogs.
There you go.
But, tell us, if you sleep with a scent in your room, I want to know, and I want to know what the scent is, because that's kind of cool. And I know that burning the candles, whether it's soy or, some natural product, can make a difference in your level of stress. It seems to reduce, we walk down the street, we smell the lavender, you roll it in your hands, it smells amazing. And for a moment there, it takes you away from all the nonsense in the world. So I'm wondering if this is linked to that, because your olfactory system is working even when you're sleeping.
Can't argue with it. It's science. Now at 8:17, here are the headlines with Lisa.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Saudi Arabia today, fresh off the NATO summit. He's looking to deepen bilateral trade and investment. He has meetings with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and business leaders and will take part in a signing ceremony at the Saudi Arabia-Canada Investment Forum. Canada has been working to mend bilateral ties following a diplomatic row about 6 years ago that resulted in the removal of ambassadors from both countries. More than 800 pounds of peanut butter has been smeared across the museum floor in Netherlands. Why, you ask? The tribute honors Dutch artist Wim T. Schippers, who died last month. Schippers is known for his conceptual art, first creating the peanut butter floor in 1969. He also voiced Ernie and Kermit the Frog in the Dutch version of Sesame Street. The work's now on display at a museum in Rotterdam. Schippers created part of a floor-covering series, which included floors covered in glass shards and salt. The exhibit runs for about 2 months if you just have to see it in person. And Canadian pop star Justin Bieber is doing a performance at the World Cup halftime show, so we will see it live. His 11-minute performance will be part of the show featuring Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. FIFA says the show is expected to have a couple billion people watching around the world. The World Cup final scheduled for July 19th at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. That's your news to 8:19.
Coming up next, we hang out with the mayor of Saanich, Dean Murdoch, joining us with a few big issues. They finally adopted that Quadra McKenzie plan after all of those years of controversy. I believe it's a done deal. We're going to check in on that. Also, we've been talking about the vandalism up at Pecals with the fence around some of those trails and the signs. There's a lot going on, so we're going to weigh in or get the mayor to weigh in on a bunch of Saanich issues next. It's 8:21. I got a text at 7:10:10. Lisa, I think our listeners are always proving that they're the smartest people around. You were talking about how science has shown...
good-looking people, too.
In our science stuff a few moments ago, in our nerd lab, you said science has shown that sleeping with certain scents in the room, like rose scent or lavender scent, can actually help your memories memory retention and that stuff.
Yep.
And I mentioned, well, I got a dog beside me, so that's what I smell. And Texter says, well, Ryan, how about shampooing your dog with one of those scents? There you go. That's the solution.
That's actually pretty good.
Lavender-scented dog shampoo is the solution to my problem.
I'd be coming over and sniffing your dog. A rose would be nice, too. Is your dog male or female?
Female.
Oh, yeah, any of
Rose
those
scent?
would work. Citrus would be kind of cool. Citrus dog.
Yeah.
Since we can't get the juice. By the way, my sister says they have a container.
They do?
Yeah.
Like
For
an old one that's been sitting around?
In the freezer
Yeah.
of frozen juice. $50 for the first person who wants it. Steal.
We'll start a black market for remaining
Orange juice.
frozen concentrate.
There
Anyways.
was one at one point, though.
Yeah. We can talk about all this because there's nothing happening in traffic. It's CFAX 1070 traffic, and it's clear. We've got nothing. It's smooth sailing other than watch out for paving delays on Cook Street, where they are going to be doing continuing paving work between Slater and Tolmie Avenue. That's today and tomorrow. Single lane alternating traffic. So there's that. But otherwise, we're looking good. Weather is overcast today. Highs to hit 20 degrees. Right now, it's 15.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Mayor of Saanich, Dean Murdoch, is here. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Do you have any frozen juice concentrate stuck in your freezer that you'd like to offer up for auction here?
Oh, no, we don't have any. But that would be a good contribution to the party, wouldn't it?
Well, we just, this was like back in February that I guess Minute Maid frozen concentrated juice, they stopped making it, so it doesn't exist anymore. And our listeners have been weighing in on their lack of frozen juice. Anyways, that is not why we called the Mayor of Saanich. Let's talk about the fact that there's a bunch of stuff going on we wanted to address here, including this week. I think this is a momentous occasion because for years you and I have been talking about the contentious Quadra Mackenzie plan. Mm-hmm. It's done, right? You guys finished it this week? What happened?
That's right. So we had a public hearing on the plan several weeks back, which took us through 3 readings, and final reading is what seals the deal and approves the plan. That took place on Monday night. So the Quadra Mackenzie plan has now been officially adopted into our official community plan after 2.5 years of multiple iterations and public consultation. The document's very different from what it looked like when we got started, but, I think that's the product of a very engaged citizenry that got involved in the process and really helped us shape the future vision for those 2 corridors.
How far away is it from where you started? The thing that's now fully adopted, how different is it from the first version?
Well, there were multiple changes that took place. Of course, the big controversy early on was the inclusion of dedicated transit lanes on Mackenzie. That was pulled out of the plan. It doesn't mean rapid transit goes away on Mackenzie, but we will go about planning that process differently. Changes to bike lanes on Quadra. A lot of changes regarding the height and density along both corridors. The size at the center at Quadra and Mackenzie changed multiple times. It went from 12 to 18 to 24 and back down to 18 stories as a max. So a lot of things have changed, but I think we're better positioned for the future of Saanich and growth in those 2 corridors, so that more people can find a home and access the services and amenities that they need as we continue to grow. And I look forward to that vision being realized over the next 5, 10, 20 years.
It's been sometimes a heated conversation in Saanich, but they finally have adopted the Quadra Mackenzie plan. So I just wanted to mark that moment. I feel like that was a moment that needed to be said, and we can put that to
Momentous.
bed. Yeah, yeah, really. Well, another thing that was talked about this week is deliberations on short-term rental rules, and we should clarify a little bit what this means. So short-term rentals of up to 120 nights. So if you got a short-term rental, how many nights in a year are you allowed to rent that short-term rental out? I guess municipalities can put a limit on that, and you're looking at 120 nights in Saanich. Talk about this and what this actually means.
So what I think a lot of folks didn't realize, or maybe don't realize still, is that short-term rentals are actually not a permitted use in Saanich. we have a zoning bylaw that it's dated, so it talks about bed and breakfast, and you can get a license for a bed and breakfast, but most short-term rentals are not a bed and breakfast, and so they're not a permitted use. When the province made its regulatory changes around short-term rental, that they can only be in a primary residence, you can't rent out an investment property, for example, as a short-term rental, that also required a license that would be provided on the platform like Airbnb or VRBO. Once people needed a license to list their short-term rental in Saanich, they were stuck because they couldn't be issued one. So we were being asked repeatedly, why can't I have a short-term rental in my home? We prepared some draft regulation that initially proposed 60 nights. Council didn't like that, so it came back with a recommendation to go to 90 nights. Most of Council didn't like that, and so now it's been set at 120 nights. That will be in the new bylaw, and we will review it over the next couple of years and determine if that's working.
Okay, so it's more so than just setting a limit. This is sort of crafting a whole bylaw to just enable this to happen at all in Saanich.
That's exactly right. I think what folks didn't realize was that they were actually not permitted. And so it's not that we're putting a restriction on, we're actually enabling up to 120 nights.
But that number, the 120 nights, one thing I thought was interesting about the story is that there's no provincial standard for that. Each municipality gets to decide. Right. I think it's different. You know, Esquimalt, for instance, I was looking at it, has 180 nights as its limit. It's going to be different in other places. I think Victoria allows 160 nights, I'm seeing. So 120 for Saanich. Why did you settle on that number and not one of the other numbers?
Well, you know, one of the things that's interesting about that process is that every municipality has, as you said, different numbers of nights that they permit. They also have different portions of the home or units on the property that are included. So, for example, in Victoria, it can only be the primary part of the dwelling. So if you have a secondary suite or a garden suite, that is not included. You can't rent that. Our staff said that's very challenging from a bylaw enforcement perspective. And so ours will be 120 nights, but it can be any of those units on your property because that really is the easier thing to enforce and creates more flexibility for individuals and families. But every municipality does it a little bit differently. There's no set template that we were using. So our staff did an environmental scan to see what's out there, and they came back with a recommendation of 60 and then 90 nights. Council determined that they wanted to be a little more flexible and went for 120 nights.
All right, so that's where we're sitting at. It's not a done deal yet. You still have to pass all the bylaws, and the things still have to get finalized. So I guess, don't come applying for it just yet, but it's still in the works, and maybe by next year, this could be a thing that's done and open?
Yeah, that's certainly our hope. I think from a bylaw perspective, we can move fairly quickly. The permitting process, I think, might be a little longer in the uptake, but certainly by the early new year, people should be able to apply for a license to do a short-term rental.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I just had a text message here saying, hey, when does the new short-term rental bylaw in Saanich come into effect? There you go. There's the answer. Mayor Dean Murdoch of Saanich, we're right at a time, though. Thanks so much for joining us today, and good luck with this.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll take a break. 8:30 News next on CFAX.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 8:32 on this Thursday, July 9th. A little cloudy today. Right now, 15 degrees. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Shocking story in the Times columnist this morning. A Central Saanich family is recovering after their two young sons were attacked by a large dog last week. Brianne and Chris Pennington say they were out for a walk with their 7 and 3-year-old sons on Canada Day when a Rottweiler bolted towards them from a property across the road. The dog attacked the older boy first, biting his head and arms. The 3-year-old ended up losing a part of his ear when the dog charged at his mother, who was holding the child at the time. The mom, Brianne, says the attack lasted several minutes. The family is thanking neighbors who heard their screams and came to their rescue. The dog was seized by CRD Animal Control and apparently put down. This according to the Rottweiler's owner. The younger boy is now facing surgery to further repair his ear. Central Saanich investigators say there were no previous reports or dealings with the dog or its owners. Saanich police have upgraded criminal charges now to murder in connection with the July 3rd incident on Quadra near Mackenzie. The victim of an assault that happened died of their injuries days later. The charges against 30-year-old Suleiman Budak has been upgraded to murder, and the investigation transferred to the Vancouver Island Integrated Major Crime Unit as a result. In Nanaimo, street racing is on the radar. The Nanaimo RCMP ramping up enforcement efforts aimed at curbing street racers, motorcycles, and cars throughout the city. Police have been called to numerous reports in recent weeks about late-night racing and the excessive noise it causes, vehicle stunting, and the use of public roadways as unofficial drag strips. The police say it's dangerous behavior that has the potential for a serious collision. The average cost of a one-bedroom apartment here in Victoria apparently dropped slightly last month. This according to rentals.ca. On the other hand, the price tag went up for a two-bedroom. The one-bedroom was down 0.5 percentage point to just short of $2,000 a month. It's down 1.8% from June of last year, though it may not feel like it. The two-bedroom average price went up 1.7% to $2,642. It's still down 2.4% year-over-year basis. The price of rentals went down province-wide over 5% in June. Federal officials will be providing an update on the national wildfire season in the 9 o'clock hour.
Emergency Management Minister Eleanor Olszewski and other officials are expected to give a briefing later today. The latest information from the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center shows there have been 3,100 fires so far this season. That's compared to around 2,900 at this time last year. The update comes as a pair of fires near the community of Boston Bar in BC have forced hundreds of properties under evacuation orders and alerts. Diana Musina, The Canadian Press.
BC Wildfire Service dashboard shows 18 fires burning, 5 new starts in the last day, no new fires on Vancouver Island. And a former Olympic canoe racer has pleaded not guilty to deliberately damaging the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in Washington, D.C. David Hearn competed in 3 Summer Olympics. He entered the plea Thursday in D.C. court. Hearn is 67. He's from Bethesda, Maryland. Now he faces a felony count of property destruction. The U.S. president ordered a multi-million-dollar reno of the pool, but the project has faced a lot of issues, including peeling. The U.S. Attorney General says 6 others arrested on related charges of possible damage. Hearn's attorney argues the charges are based on concocted narratives and criticizes the administration's handling or lack of the situation. That's your news to 8:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you think other jurisdictions should follow Nanaimo RCMP's lead in curbing straight racing and stunt driving? They are ramping up enforcement in that city. 88% say yes, we should be doing more. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. 15 degrees right now. We got mostly cloudy skies. It's going to stay that way, eventually getting up to a high of 20, although cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. That's just the quick look at today. We'll get you the full forecast in a moment. Right now, over to the sports. And for local sports, the Victoria Harbour Cats with a 5-0 shutout over the visiting Bend Elks. That was at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium last night. It was game 2. So the Cats have taken 2 of them now. And could they go for the sweep? We'll see tonight. Harbour Cats and the Elks, final game of the series, 6:35 tonight at Royal Athletic Park, Wilson's Group Stadium. In the majors, Toronto Blue Jays have the day off today after a 10-0 thumping of the San Francisco Giants yesterday, and Miami downed Seattle 2-0. In the CFL, Edmonton Elks in action. They are looking to get back into the win column when they host the winless Ottawa Red Blacks in CFL action. The 3-1 Elks suffered their first loss last week when they lost to the BC Lions 36-24. Now over to the World Cup of Soccer. It was weird not having a game yesterday. There was no FIFA World Cup games yesterday for the first time since this tournament began. But today, we're back to it. It's the beginning of the quarterfinals, and we will see France and Morocco meet in this first quarterfinal matchup. A little bit about them. Morocco, of course, got there by beating Canada 3-0 in the round of 16. So this is the team that beat Canada. And they're facing France, which, of course, was a finalist. When was that? In 2022, France won in 2018 the whole World Cup. So top contenders going at it today. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports to 8:39. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort, and they're the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Airstage dealer. On the roads, it continues to be a very easygoing commute as far as the West Shore is concerned. Coming into Victoria, it's very smooth sailing, not a lot of volume delay. We do have the paving work to, again, mention. This is Cook Street between Slater Street and Tolmie Avenue. It's on now. It's going until 7 p.m. There'll be single-lane alternating traffic with some paving work there. And it's going to happen again tomorrow, same time frame. So watch out for that paving stretch there. And for the weather forecast, we are looking at a day that's going to be mostly overcast. You could see the odd sunny break, but an overcast kind of day. Temperatures reaching a high of 20, but cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. Tonight, lows to 13 with the clouds and with the breeze off the water. Tomorrow, same forecast again. Just take today and repeat it. It's going to get a little sunnier on the weekend, but really not changing too much. It's been a very stable set of weather, and we're kind of just in that sort of mix of sun and cloud, little wind, temperatures in the low 20s. We're just sort of staying there for the next few days. Right now, in Saanich by the University of Victoria, 15 degrees is the temperature I'm seeing. In Brentwood Bay, it's 16. On the markets, S&P TSX still making gains, up 232 after yesterday's losses, currently sitting at 35,168. The Dow is up 132 to 52,480. The NASDAQ up 198 to 26,069. So kind of gains across the board there. Canadian dollar at 70.6 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
We love it when you join the conversation at 7-10-10. We got some texts regarding a few of the topics we've been talking about, like frozen concentrated orange juice. Texter here.
That was not on my bingo card today.
It was just random things that happened. Texter asked about it, and we were getting all these great stories like this texter at 71010 who says, I've got to get where to go. It was right there.
It's gone now forever.
It's in front of me.
I know. It does that, doesn't it?
Okay, I'm going to find that. Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Okay.
Just because we've had so many text messages, texters are all over the place today with our stories.
Say lime.
Here it is. Yeah, we're talking about the... Anyways, don't even... Okay, hang on. I got to stay focused. Good morning, says the texter. When I was a kid, my dad would take the tin of frozen juice out.
Yeah.
But he would put 1 teaspoon in 2 glasses for him and for Mom. And then he would add the water, and they would have it with breakfast. One day, he got mad at me for drinking his juice, and I was so upset because I didn't touch it. Turned out he just forgot to add the water. No apology to me, and... That was growing up in the 80s. Lol, says the texter. So I never thought of doing it that way. I always had, this was one of my jobs as a kid, but I would just take the full thing and you stick it into the jug. Then I get the wooden spoon and I stir it with the water.
That's right.
And there was always that trying to like shake this.
Tink on the side of the glass. Yeah.
Shake this like frozen log of juice out of the can that you had
squeezing it
opened.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's memories for sure for a lot of folks. This texter, totally different topic. Yes. You were mentioning in our science stuff, in our nerd lab, that certain scents can help memory retention if you have them in your bedroom when you sleep.
Stop cognitive decline as well, yeah.
This texter says, I already knew about the benefits of air purifiers and of those scents like rose, lavender, and citrus in different rooms. I use mostly lavender in my bedroom. Growing up on a farm, Mom used cuttings of our lavender in little sachets for under our pillows and in the dresser drawers. I use rose or citrus in other rooms. Japanese peppermint scent oil is also very nice. Thanks.
Oh.
That's a lot of great ideas.
Eucalyptus is one, too. I don't know if it makes you smarter, but it's a great smell.
Yeah.
A lot of people hang eucalyptus in their shower.
Oh, really?
And fresh eucalyptus, you can obviously grows wild here, and you can buy it. And a bunch of that hanging in your shower upside down, and the steam hits it.
It really breaks out the scent?
It's like a, spa hack.
Interesting.
For for no price. Doesn't cost you a thing.
Hey, thanks so much for joining the conversation at 7:10:10. All right, it's 8:45. Time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Thank you. We begin with the New York Times and the Daily News and other media outlets asking a federal judge to impose sanctions on OpenAI. The newspapers allege the company is hiding evidence related to copyright infringement trial over how their AI technologies were trained using millions of news articles. We got the same problem underway here in Canada. In the case involving the biggest copyright settlement so far, OpenAI rival Anthropic agreed to pay book authors $1.5 billion for training its chatbot Claude on their pirated works. OpenAI has not immediately responded for a request of comment. Researchers in Texas are sending hundreds of grape seeds to the ISS, the International Space Station. They'll be spending 6 months in space exposed to cosmic radiation. When the seeds come back, they'll be grown and turned into wine. The goal, researchers say, is to create an out-of-this-world vintage and also create more resilient, adaptive, and productive plants. The joke is it'll be a glass to go to space for. And a young bald eagle is back at its perch in Beacon Hill Park after it fell from the nest. City of Victoria crews called in Wild Ark to check the bird out and used a bucket truck to return the bird to its family. The fledgling was found on the ground beneath the well-known nest earlier this week, prompting staff to reach out for advice. Full examination found the eaglet was in good condition. It had no significant injuries. That's your news to 8:47.
I think it's about time we got sports guy Steve into the picture. I wonder what his thoughts are on concentrated frozen orange juice. Boy. Okay, but he's also got sports on the mind. It's the quarterfinals of the World Cup. We're into a brand new stage of this. Let's get some thoughts on that and more in just a moment. Another texter bringing up that, hey, by the way, No Name Frozen OJ is returning this fall to Loblaw stores. Yes, we've had that tip, and that's great to mention that for anybody lamenting the fact that
things to look forward to.
We don't have the frozen concentrated orange juice or other juices as we used to. Coming back to Loblaw's stores under the No Name, No Frills brand.
Is this a tariff thing?
Well, my understanding is it's really simply just that a lot of the manufacturers of this stuff have stopped making it because the demand had fallen.
Because we go for fresh now?
I don't know what it is, or we just don't drink juice as much as we used to. Whatever the reason, manufacturers have been discontinuing
Just don't do the frozen kind. Okay.
Nobody in Canada makes it anymore. They used to.
Well, we need it for our mixed drinks.
Well, that was actually the very first text that kicked this. This is why we're even talking about it. This texter was like, I used to make margaritas out of this stuff. What am I supposed to do now? That's kind of where this all started.
Our first world problems.
I love it. Okay. Sports guy Steve.
Yeah.
What's his OJ situation? We're going to get into that next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Fresh Okanagan cherries are now in season at Thrifty Foods. They're big, they're juicy, they're packed with sweet summer flavor. You can pick some up today at Thrifty's. Paving work on Cook Street is the only real blip on the traffic horizon right now. This is Cook Street between Slater and Tolmie Avenue going until 7 p.m. It's single lane alternating traffic, and that paving work is going on tomorrow at the same location as well. Otherwise, things are looking great on the roads. No waits at BC Ferries. Although the 9 o'clock is getting quite full, the Swartz Bay to Swass at 9 o'clock. Oh, no, it just did fill up. It was like 90-something% a moment ago. Now, it is a one-sail wait, but it's leaving in 10 minutes. And you got room on the 10 o'clock from Swartz Bay to Swass. And now, in the weather, mostly cloudy today. A little wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Highs of 20, unless you're by the cool, windy Juan de Fuca Strait. And right now, the temperature in Victoria, let's go to Oak Bay. The temperature on the Oak Bay waterfront is 14 degrees.
The lineup in his first offering. Touch them all, Joe. The golden goal.
It's Sports Guy Steve.
Oh, my goodness.
What did you say? You heard me.
Here's Sports Guy Steve. Just a bit outside.
Oh, man, sports guy Steve, that's a guy who used to dump frozen concentrated orange juice into a jug as a child. Steve, how you doing?
The lemonade was my favorite.
Yay.
You were the lemonade guy. Okay.
I was lemonade, especially if it's fresh. Like after you first did it and made it,
Yeah.
it was good for like 6 hours, and then the taste started to go away.
Oh, you had to get it while it was still kind of in that partially frozen state.
Yes, excellent.
So, Steve, sorry to hit you with frozen juice instead of sports, but this is just, listeners are all over this. Texter, let me tell you, Steve, Texter at 71010 just tells me right now, Welch's grape juice is no longer sold in Canada. Devastating, says the listener. Devastating.
I don't know all these things.
It was my favorite. Yeah, it was my favorite.
Lori is saying that the No Frills one is available at the stores. They saw it at Superstore just the other day, so yeah, you can find that there. We've had listeners at Campbell River saying, yeah, it's on the shelves there too. And then this texter says, I bought orange extract as some recipes ask for frozen concentrated OJ, and I couldn't get it. So yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing. But let's talk about sports, because the World Cup quarterfinals are kicking off today. It's France, it's Morocco. It's just one of the storylines we're following. Steve, set this up for us. How big of a deal is it today?
You know what? I kind of look at this as like we're in the final 8, right? So it kind of gets really interesting at this point. And if I was to say, hey, what's the one game you're looking forward to the most out of the 4?
Yeah.
It's Norway and England.
Yes, me too. Now, just because England is the team I'm following now that Canada's out, and Norway is fascinating. The fans are amazing. There's Holland, this guy, he's just bizarre human being that is just, I can't stop like watching him. He's just so weird to watch. But yeah, that's going to be a star matchup for sure.
Yes. Today, though, Morocco's leading scorer not going to play.
Really? Why?
Yes. So he got hurt against us. So not playing. That obviously makes a difference. So Mbappe hasn't gotten as much press as Messi, but he's right there in the race for the Golden Boot.
On the French side, yeah.
Do you know what the Golden Boot is?
Now, this is an award at the end of the World Cup for the player who scores the most goals, right?
Correct.
I got it. Look at me. I got a sports thing right. I'm pretty proud of myself.
So anyway, that will be interesting. I thought after Morocco beat Canada, the payroll, so what these guys are worth on each one of their club teams, was about 750 million euros.
Okay.
And we were at 250.
Okay, so there's a discrepancy there.
Yes. Tiny bit. So anyway, good game. You know, we got Spain and Belgium tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That should be interesting. I think this, if you were to look at it, an overview of the tournament so far, Spain has probably been the most efficient, well-oiled machine side of the group.
So they're ones to watch in this, you think?
Yeah, exactly. And then in addition to that Norway-England game that I think all of us are looking forward to, you got Argentina and Switzerland. The other thing I'm pointing out, there's 8 teams there.
Yeah.
2 of them are the ones that beat Canada.
Right. So maybe that makes the Canadian fans feel a little better. You got beaten
That's
by.
what I was going for.
Yeah, you. If we had to be beat, at least be beat by teams that go all the way or most of the way.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I like that. Now, I got to be unfair. I know this is unfair, but I'm going to ask a prediction. If you had to pick, who do we see kind of getting towards either the semifinal or even the final? Do you have any thoughts out of this mix that we've got going into the quarterfinals? Who's going to keep going?
I think Spain for sure.
Okay.
And whoever wins the Norway-England game will be the opposition.
Okay, you think
Argentina struggled a little bit. They've been lucky, let's be honest, to be where they are. So I don't think they're going there. The Swiss haven't impressed me enough to say they're going there. So I think that's kind of the matchup.
Oh, we're looking at maybe, according to sports guy Steve, and I love this, I'm going to be watching this, could be Spain versus either Norway or England in a final. That could be a matchup we're seeing. I love it. Let's watch and see what happens. But about 1 o'clock our time is today's Morocco-France game, so it all starts there. Now, Steve, can we talk hockey because it's summer?
Of course, it's Canada.
You got to talk.
There's no questions here.
You got to talk hockey in summer when it's Canada, because even though it's summer, there's all of the trades happening right now. There's some off-ice stuff that's really interesting. I know there's been some Canucks news. What can you tell us about what's interesting you out of all this?
The offer sheet. Now, this has been on the books in the NHL for a number of years, but teams are reluctant to use it because it inflates salary numbers across the board. So all the other owners get mad at you when you do it. And it also, it just leaves a sour taste in people's mouths, and words get exchanged, and it's kind of frowned upon. But Philadelphia saw that Anaheim was nickeling and diming their players on contracts. So they came in and they offered a player $18 million to Mr. Carlson, who is the young star, up-and-coming star on the Anaheim Ducks. $18 million a year. Connor McDavid makes 12, okay? Just for comparison's sake.
Okay, yeah.
So the problem with 18 is the team that signs the offer sheet basically says, we will give you 4 first-round draft picks. We're taking this player. the team, the Ducks in this case, have a chance to match the $18 million, and they get the player. They keep the player. The problem is that throws your salary cap and your structure and your team out of whack completely. So that usually leads towards Israel. So Anaheim probably doesn't want to pay $18 million. So they're looking at deals about, okay, I can walk away and have the first round draft pick. I'll trade the first round draft pick, the 4 picks, for a player, opening up an opportunity for teams like the Canucks. And I'm not saying that Anaheim's interest. It's just a scenario. You've got an $11 million player on the Canucks that has a history of being good till the last 2 years. Do you take the 4 draft picks, send 1 or 2 of them to Vancouver in order to replace the guy you're going to lose because you can't afford $18 million because there are 2 guys on that other team that are going to want $18 million too because they're just as good as he is. You understand how it's levels. Like, one thing affects another, which affects another. It just cascades down.
Sportscast Steve on
really tough decisions.
Yeah, on the offer sheet. Steve, we got to go. Leave it there, though. I feel like there's more to unpack there. We should talk about that more.
Okay, take care.
All right, sorry to cut you off, but we got to go because that's it for us today. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.